Chapter 855. The space around the three bells was burnt and melted into countless particles. The three bells revolved and became a huge fireball that smashed at Luo Feng, even controlling the space to pressure him, making him feel like he was stuck in a swamp. Even moving took a lot of energy. That incomparably hot fireball was like a small mountain smashing over. Space manipulation? Luo Feng's wings shook and the silver wings easily tore through the compressed universe space, unleashing the three beats to travel through universe. Xiao, xiao, xiao. Three zigzagging trajectories visible to the naked eye were left in the cabin, causing the combined ultimate attack of the three fire bells to hit nothing but air. With a loud rumble, they smashed into the wall of the cabin, causing the wall that contained the engravings of the mysterious sacrificial runes to tremble slightly. The runes flickered and then calmed down, leaving the wall undamaged. Terrifying speed. Purple Bell Emperor's eyes were filled with shock and rage. Even though he knew this human was extremely fast, when Luo Feng used all his strength to dodge within the cabin, Purple Bell Emperor was still shocked. His spirit weapon attack was actually dodged? Of course, he could also control the three blazing bells to circle around each other and form a combined ultimate move. Under the combined ultimate move, the blazing bells would slow down significantly. However, at close range, ordinary king-ranked experts would not be able to dodge this move with their speed. Purple Bell Emperor, don't waste time. Outside the cabin, the giant Ash Gold Emperor roared. Bastard, let me deal with the toughest bones. Purple Bell Emperor hated within, after which he looked at Luo Feng with a gleam in his eyes, roaring, human, go and die. Howl, Purple Bell Emperor roared. His entire body exploded with a powerful energy ripple that made all the Undying's hearts tremble, causing the distant Night Shin Emperor who was fighting desperately against Ash Gold Emperor to change his expression, igniting the Undying body? Good. Ice Blade, who was being ravaged by Tiger Thorn Emperor's eyes gleamed. Haha! Ash Gold Emperor couldn't help but laugh out loud. Igniting the Undying body? Yang is in trouble. Tiger Thorn Emperor was shocked. Yang, be careful. Not only King Greygold, Ice Blade, Tiger Thorn, and Nighttime King, but even the native experts watching through the control room of the altar held their breaths and muttered, Die, die, hurry up and die. In the eyes of these native experts, the more these foreign invaders killed each other, the better. In the cabin, under the burning of the immortal body, the Purple Bell King's aura was much stronger than that of the Ash Gold King. Break! Purple Bell Emperor looked coldly at Luo Feng. He ignited his undying energy and infused it into the three fire bells, causing them to become three fireballs. Even though they seemed normal, every one of them was much more terrifying than a star. Every one of them could easily pierce through a star, like a steel ball piercing through tofu. Luo Feng could currently treat stars as toys, however against these three fireballs, he could only rely on the Wu Killer Wings and armor. When the three fireballs formed a chain and smashed towards him with lightning speed, Luo Feng knew. I can't dodge it. I can only take it head-on. Last time, the three fire bells revolved around each other to form a combined attack, which was slow. And this time, they were coming at him with their fastest speed. And under the burning of the undying energy, the power was raised by 1,000 times. How shocking was the speed! Luo Feng could only close his wings and wrap them around himself. Purring! Pung! Purring! The first bell became a fireball and smashed into Luo Feng's wings, immediately smashing him into the wall of the cabin. That terrifying force caused the entire cabin to tremble violently. The mysterious sacrificial engravings on the cabin were madly flashing, the entire altar was shaking, obviously trying to absorb the force of the attack. The second fire bell. The third fire bell. It continuously smashed into Luo Feng, who was already stuck to the wall. Rumble. The space within the cabin was completely shattered into particles. The explosion was a mess. The engravings on the walls were constantly flashing, madly suppressing the shock waves. Slowly, the space was restored and everything returned to normal. This. Ice Blade's little eyes stared wide. His ugly face was completely distorted. What? Tiger Thorn Emperor's mouth was wide open. Night Chin Emperor too was speechless, his eyes filled with shock and joy. How is this possible? Ash Gold Emperor stopped his attack on Night Chin Emperor, staring at everything. I. Purple Bell Emperor's expression was complicated, shock, rage, disbelief. On the walls of the cabin, Luo Feng, who was stuck to the wall, slowly slid down and stood on the ground. Looking at Purple Bell Emperor before him, he smiled. I actually didn't blow him up. I burned 3% of my undying body, and it still didn't blow him up? Purple Bell Emperor was stunned. Burning the undying body was burning his soul. If he burned 50% of his undying body, it would be equivalent to losing half of his soul. He wouldn't even be left with 10% of his strength. And if he burned too much of his undying body, he would lose too much of his soul. He wouldn't be able to maintain his consciousness. He might even fall into a deep slumber. God slumbers in their slumber. They would slowly recover their soul. That recovery was very slow and took a very long time. It could take trillions of years, or they might never wake up. Hence burning the undying body usually only burned within 5%. With such a small loss, it wasn't hard to recover. And when the attack was infused with energy, for example the control of the 3 fire bells, just 3% of the undying body's energy was already enough, unless he really didn't want to live. Only then would he completely self-destruct. The self-destruction would have absolute numbers and power, directly blowing the opponent into nothing. Purple Bell Emperor originally thought, burning 3% of the undying body would at least blow the opponent's body and cause him to lose 10% to 20% of his undying body. That was normal. However, the result was, Luo Feng didn't even lose a wing. Good. Tiger Thorn Emperor was overjoyed. Yang, your life preservation ability is indeed powerful. Don't tell me you have an Emperor Pinnacle plant life protecting you? Or an Emperor Pinnacle metal life form protecting you? Night Chin Emperor communicated excitedly. Situations like Luo Feng's were still possible. Emperor Pinnacle plant life and metal life forms. Those plant life and metal life forms naturally had an advantage in terms of physique. If it was an Emperor Pinnacle plant life form, its body far surpassed that of an Emperor Pinnacle human, plus its regeneration ability was strong. It could indeed take that move head-on. Haha! Luo Feng just laughed. Night Chin Emperor and Tiger Thorn Emperor didn't ask any more. Who didn't have a trump card? The trump card of this Yang was most likely the ability to escape and preserve his life. It was just that these abilities were a little too strong. His trump card was truly formidable. Haha, we'll definitely get the treasure. Night Chin Emperor communicated excitedly. Hurry and rush out of the cabin. We'll hurry and escape the altar. Once we're out, we'll teleport away and split the treasures. Right, let's hurry and leave. Tiger Thorn Emperor said too. The battle situation had changed. Before, Ash Gold Emperor, Purple Bell Emperor and Ice Blade had the advantage. The original plan was for Purple Bell Emperor to destroy Luo Feng's body, causing it to completely explode. His weapon and world ring would be thrown out too. Naturally they could take the chance to get the world ring. The world ring, after all, only held one world. They had plenty of ways to get the treasures within. However now, Ash Gold Emperor, I can't do anything to him. Purple Bell Emperor communicated. Ash Gold Emperor, what do we do? Ice Blade asked anxiously. I didn't expect this unassuming human, the weakest human, to actually have such a powerful move. He definitely has some sort of defensive treasure that doesn't specialize in attacking, or some sort of metal life form, or some other non-life form treasure. Ash Gold Emperor's eyes were red and enraged. Purple Bell Emperor, Ice Blade, you two are really useless, completely useless. I still have to go all out. Ice Blade and Purple Bell Emperor were both enraged. With the treasure in hand, I'll take 70%, Purple Bell Emperor 2, Ice Blade 1. Ash Gold Emperor communicated, otherwise I'll be at a huge disadvantage. Alright. No problem. Ice Blade and Purple Bell Emperor weren't fools. They understood that with this human Yang's defense, Ash Gold Emperor would probably have to burn his undying body to destroy him. For an Emperor-level warrior like Ash Gold Emperor to burn his undying body, how high would the price be? Asking for 70% was reasonable. Then watch me make a move. Ash Gold Emperor's eyes flashed with lightning. It took a long time to describe. In truth, after Purple Bell Emperor burned his undying body to attack Luo Feng, half a second later, Ash Gold Emperor exploded. The green light around Ash Gold Emperor's body expanded. Rumble! A terrifying aura shot up into the sky. The powerful energy caused the surrounding walls to tremble, and the engravings on the walls flickered constantly. This scene caused Luo Feng, Night King, and Ice Blade to be shocked and enraged. Not good, Ash Gold Emperor is going all out. He's burning his undying body. Quickly flee. Including Luo Feng, they were all shocked and furious. Ash Gold Emperor was an Emperor-level warrior. With his body amplification technique, his body could explode with 1,000,000 Sector Lord strength. If he were to explode, it would be even more terrifying than Luo Feng's Sector Lord Emperor army's combined attack. Even if he only burned a little of his undying body, it would still be incredibly terrifying. However, to train to Ash Gold Emperor's level, burning a little of his undying body had a high price. If he wasn't forced into a corner, he wouldn't go all out. Flee! 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 The three warriors on Luo Feng's side were all anxious. No one dared to clash with the mad Ash Gold Emperor. Howl! Ash Gold Emperor let out a low roar. With one step, he reached the closest Night Chin Emperor. What speed! Night Chin Emperor couldn't dodge in time. Rumble! A massive palm surrounded by lightning swatted toward Night Chin King's head. With a loud rumble, Night Chin King's entire body was reduced to dust by this violent slap that struck terror into the hearts of all the Regis present. Chapter 856. The shattered powder swiftly formed a winged human warrior, Night Chin Emperor. Night Chin Emperor's energy was extremely weak. This scene shocked Luo Feng, who was about to escape the cabin. From his energy, he could deduce. Pale Gold Emperor's immolation attack had caused Night Chin Emperor to lose about half of his undying body. 50%. After losing half of his soul, even though Night Chin Emperor still had 50% of his body, he could only unleash 10% of his full power. The soul was indeed very important. Pale Gold Emperor, don't force me. Night Chin Emperor, who had just reformed his body, was filled with madness. He stared hard at Pale Gold Emperor and communicated. Right now, Pale Gold Emperor was in his strongest state. Even if Night Chin Emperor burned his undying body, he wouldn't be able to escape. He could only hope that Pale Gold Emperor would spare his life. If you force me, I... Night Chin Emperor stared at Pale Gold Emperor. Self-destruct? Haha, self-destruct. Do you think I'll be afraid? My undying body won't be damaged by your self-destruction. Haha, I've already destroyed half of your undying body. If I destroy the other half, you'll die. Why should I let you go? Die. Pale Gold Emperor didn't show any mercy. Remember. I'll be back for revenge. Night Chin Emperor roared. Explode. 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 Night Chin Emperor roared. The remaining 50% of his deathless body exploded. King Greygold's attack had destroyed half of his deathless body, but that was because King Greygold's deathless god power and Nightstar King's deathless body had destroyed each other. That was why the explosion hadn't been too terrifying. Pale Gold Emperor could take it alone, but no one was that stupid. Pale Gold Emperor only had one choice: to retreat. Rumble, an Emperor Pinnacle warrior's self-destruction was so powerful that it made the others, other than Songjin Emperor, Purple Zhong Emperor, Ice Blade Emperor, Tiger Thorn Emperor and Luo Feng, all shocked and furious. An emperor's self-destruction. It was comparable to a million-sector Lord army's combined attack. It could kill an emperor's high level, heavily injuring an emperor's peak. It could even cause an emperor's peak to fall. Of course, that depended on luck, although Knight Chun King only had 50% of his immortal divine body left, but he still had half of the power of a perfect king-ranked divine king's self-destruction. Unlike King Greygold's attack, which had destroyed each other, Knight Chun King's self-destruction had caused shockwaves to spread in all directions. In a self-destruction situation, there was no way to control the direction of the attack. A self-destruction meant the death of a god, and the shockwaves spread in all directions. No! The expression of Iceblade, that had been pestering the Tiger Thorn King, completely changed. King Ageless Gold, you've harmed me! The ice blades fled in terror. Bam! A powerful shockwave instantly struck his body. The high-level Regis Godfiend's ice blade instantly turned into dust in the face of this shockwave. Even the dust was destroyed. Night Life King, even if you die, you have to drag me down with you. Tiger Thorn King was so frightened that he rushed into the cabin. Pung! The shockwave was like an endless flood that rushed through the Tiger Thorn King. The armor on the surface of the Tiger Thorn King's body flickered, and then his entire body completely exploded. However, after that, he once again condensed into a single body. Pung! The shockwave struck the Purple Bell King's body. The Purple Bell King gritted his teeth, and the surface of his body flickered with a hazy bell silhouette. He forcefully resisted some of the shockwave, but after a rumble, his body completely disintegrated into a single body. Pung! Luo Feng's wings closed, and he once again forcefully resisted this attack. King Greygold, Purple Bell King, Iceblade, Tiger Thorn King, and Luo Feng all suffered the full range of the Nightlife King's self-destruction attack. They were either unharmed, injured, or dead. It wasn't just the 5 of them. Even the altar couldn't remain as stable as before under the self-destruction of the king-ranked Godfiend. The walls of the altar's corridors and the cabin's walls flickered continuously, and then with a rumble, they completely shattered. Even the walls were shattered, and the shock waves spread in all directions. Every layer of the wall flickered and trembled and then shattered. However, after continuously breaking through layer after layer, the power of the shock wave weakened and finally calmed down. A diameter of 60 kilometers, a complete spherical area, was completely reduced to rubble. The altar itself was a special rule weapon made of some F-class metals. Just like how many weapons could expand or shrink, the altar could also expand or shrink. However, it was a bit similar to weapons like the Divine Base or the Star Fortress, and the degree of defense in different areas was also different. For example, the Inheritance Chamber and the Second Treasure Chamber were the 2 most important chambers, and they had the strongest defenses. And the entire outer layer of the core area, it too had the strongest defense. As for the many cabin walls within, they were cheaper to build. Even with the help of the mysterious sacrificial engravings, under Nightlife King's self-destruction attack, it still destroyed a diameter of 60 kilometers. Silence. Within the altar, the rubble was silent. Luo Feng and Tiger Thorn King exchanged glances and exchanged glances. Nightlife King's self-destruction actually caused me to lose 6% of my undying body. What a loss. Tiger Thorn King communicated. However, Yang, we're in trouble. With Nightlife King's death, our side's strength has been greatly reduced. Even though we've lost Iceblade, however, that Iceblade was only a high-level emperor. With him gone, it doesn't affect Ash Gold Emperor and Purple Bell Emperor at all. It's a pity about Nightlife King. Luo Feng communicated. What's there to pity about? Isn't he human? You humans place great importance on the undying Emperor-level warriors. Even if they fall, they'll be able to reverse time and space and revive. Tiger Thorn King communicated. It's a pity I don't have that fortune. Even though I'm a member of the Great Alliance, for me to get that chance, I'll have to earn more military merits and raise my position. Luo Feng sighed within. The Universe Lord level beings had unbelievable powers. They could directly reverse time and space to the point where their targets hadn't died. Reversing time and space to revive warriors, the pinnacle of humanity, the creator of the huge axe, the primal Chaos City leader, the Dragon Travel leader, the Void Gold leader. At some point in time, they would unite and revive large amounts of humanity's warriors. Those who were resurrected were either very powerful, or had made great contributions, or had teachers and other people who had helped them to collect items. However, reviving didn't come without a price. The Universe Lord and the others had to pay a very small price to revive someone like Nightlife King. But the so-called very small price was relative to the Lord of the Universe. The Universe Lord wouldn't allow himself to be at a disadvantage. The price had to be paid by the revived warriors themselves, either by fighting for humanity or stealing treasures for humanity. Pitiful Nightlife King, even if he's revived, he'll probably be fighting for humanity for a very long time. Luo Feng thought. However, to be revived is already very lucky. The other alien races, some of them don't even have a Universe Lord level being. Even the alien races that joined the Great Alliance have to meet the requirements and pay a higher price to revive than the humans. No one wanted to die. The stronger one was, the higher the price to be paid. The primal Chaos City leader once said that reviving the Universe Lords would cause him to suffer heavy injuries from the universe laws. If he were to revive Hiroto or Tianshi Palace leader, those tyrants, the primal Chaos City leader would die from the universe laws. One had to know that the primal Chaos City leader was much stronger than Hiroto and the others, yet he died from reviving Hiroto. Obviously the strength of the backlash was terrifying. Nightlife King was revived in the distant future. One could only imagine the price he had to pay. Ageless Emperor, that Nightlife King was about to escape. Why did you force him to his death? Purple Zhong Emperor was both anxious and furious. Even Ice Blade died because of this. Ice Blade was also a member of the Chi Wu race. As someone from the same race, even though Purple Zhong Emperor didn't think much of Ice Blade had always been with him. Plus they were from the same race, they naturally trusted each other. I was also injured from that Nightlife King's self-destruction. Purple Zhong Emperor raged. And humanity is one of the 4 pinnacle races. With such a great universe lord among them, one day in the future, that Nightlife King may very well revive again. Shut up. Ageless Gold Emperor communicated. When will he revive? Even if he revives, he's still no match for me. All I know is, if I kill him, I'll get his riches. With a wave of his hand, King Ageless put away the world rings and items left behind by Nightshin King and Bingren after their deaths. Don't let that human escape. Ageless Gold Emperor roared. Xiao. In the distance, Luo Feng's wings flapped and he unleashed his 3 vibrations to travel through the universe. His speed shot up and he entered a distant corridor like lightning. Don't even think of escaping. Ageless Gold Emperor chased from behind. Humph. Purple Zhong Emperor chased from behind too. The Tiger Thorn King stood in midair and watched this scene silently. Then, he sneered and thought to himself, for the sake of the treasures of the sacrificial pagoda, he has already gone crazy. If he doesn't die, he will burn his immortal god body. If that Songjin King is mad, I better hide. If I go, I will just die. The Tiger Thorn King flew along another corridor. Altar Core Control Room. Race Elder Chiochika, God Lord Pu Ai, Menbu and Latimer, these 4 aboriginals were all staring at the holographic projection. When they saw Nightlife King self-destruct, injuring the other warriors and killing Ice Blade, the aboriginals all revealed expressions of glee. Look, the communication talisman. It's the communication talisman. Nightlife King and Ice Blade had fallen. The communication talisman that had entered their bodies had indeed fallen into the ruins. Go, all of you hurry up and leave. You alien invaders, leave behind your communication talismans. Race Elder Chio Chika waited silently. However, who would have thought that ageless Gold Emperor would wave his hand and take away all the items of the two fallen undying emperors, including the communication talismans. This caused Chio Chika and the rest's expressions to change. They're escaping towards the altar. They've brought the communication talismans with them. God Lord Pu Ai communicated anxiously. Third brother, the moment they escape and teleport away, we won't be able to open the inheritance room anymore. Race Elder Chio Chika gritted his teeth and replied, Listen to my orders. Pu Ai, Menbu and Latimer's eyes gleamed. They listened to the elder's orders. They knew they had to act. Waha update complete. From tomorrow onwards, everything will return to normal. I'll be able to write 2 chapters by the time I get home. Tomato is very proud. Hee, I'll ask for monthly votes and recommendation votes in the last few days of the month. Especially recommendation votes. Monday, I really need recommendation vote. Chapter 857. When Chio Chika, Pu Ai and the other aboriginals began to move, Luo Feng, Ash Gold Emperor and Purple Bell Emperor were in a frenzied state. Flee, flee, flee! Luo Feng's wings flapped, like a ghost. He flew through the twisting corridors. This Ash Gold Emperor is too strong. Emperor level, this is the limit. His strength far exceeds the pinnacle. Even Night Chin Emperor's self-destruction wouldn't be able to harm him. Luo Feng was extremely anxious within. My Emperor Bug Army combined can't do anything to him. If we clash head-on, as long as he burns some of his undying energy, he'll be able to kill my Earth body. The moment my Earth body falls, then it'll be troublesome. This altar pathway is simply too small. The golden horned beast has no way to come out and fight. The golden horned beast's strength was much stronger than the Earth body. It was a pity the space within the tower was too small. It wasn't suitable for it. Human, don't run anymore. Give up. King Greygold roared as he chased relentlessly. Rumble! Rumble! His eyes occasionally shot out thick bolts of lightning. Within the corridor, the lightning's speed naturally far exceeded Luo Feng's. The moment the lightning struck Luo Feng, it transformed into countless lightning snakes that formed a net, almost as though it was tied up by countless ropes, greatly affecting Luo Feng's speed. After struggling with all his might to break free, King Tsongjin's second wave of obstruction arrived. One bolt of lightning after another, Luo Feng was extremely miserable. If it wasn't for this corridor environment, I would have long distanced myself from him. As long as I'm far enough, the lightning wouldn't even be able to touch me. Luo Feng's wings flapped, struggling to escape. He can really escape. Ash Gold Emperor too was chasing with all his might. He had been obstructing Luo Feng the entire time, yet he could only maintain his distance. This made Ash Gold Emperor very sad. One of them chased and the other fled, and the Purple Bell King who was behind King Ageless Gold was also chasing. King Ageless is truly vicious and merciless. He borrowed Nightstar King's hand to kill Bingren. Purple Bell Emperor's eyes gleamed coldly. Me, Ice Blade and Ash Gold Emperor are all automaton camp. We don't dare kill each other. The moment we do, especially when we're teleported to the virtual world, we'll be hunted down by the automaton camp. We won't even be able to escape. Hence, even if King Greygold wants to take the treasure for himself, he wouldn't dare to do it himself. Now that Ice Blade has fallen, he's actually using someone else to do his dirty work. Purple Bell King was filled with hatred. No matter what, he can only kill with a borrowed knife. He wouldn't dare to directly deal with his comrade. Moreover, I'm not an Ice Blade. Even if the Tiger Thorn King and the others self-destruct, I won't die. King Chongjin, you want to take all the treasures for yourself? Ideas flashed through Purple Bell King's mind. Being comrades in the same camp did not mean that they had a good relationship. It was only because of the military rules that they did not dare to kill each other. Violating military rules. Not only would the super powerhouses of the machine race take action, but even the super powerhouses of King Greygold's own race would take action to kill King Greygold. Luo Feng, Ash Gold Emperor and Purple Bell Emperor followed the pathway and fled, each with their own plans. Up ahead is the exit of the core region. Luo Feng used all his strength to escape. Shua. Following a blur, Luo Feng arrived at the exit of the core region. The 6 pathways were still open, however what shocked Luo Feng was, at the exit floated a purple armored, 6-armed strong foreign race undying. He was emitting waves of god energy ripples, completely blocking the exit. A native of the flame sacrifice continent? Luo Feng was shocked as he looked at him. At this time, he couldn't care less. Move aside. Luo Feng roared and was about to rush out. Voila! This 6-armed strong foreign race undying's arms suddenly grew larger and larger, actually blocking the 6 pathways. When Luo Feng rushed towards one pathway, one of the arms was definitely able to hold out against 10,000 enemies. That huge palm immediately slapped Luo Feng away. Haha, a native of the flame sacrifice continent? Thank you. King Greygold laughed loudly as he appeared, communicating. So, Purple Bell Emperor appeared too. Luo Feng, Songjin Emperor, and Purple Zhong Emperor were all standing on the ground, while the Yenji continent native blocked all 6 exits. His strength was at the pinnacle of Emperor level. Luo Feng might have the advantage in terms of speed, but if he wanted to force his way out, his strength was indeed far behind. Yang, who is this? In the distance a beam of light flew over. It was Tiger Thorn Emperor who was flying along another pathway. Tiger Thorn Emperor landed and looked shocked at the native. Native? Luo Feng, Ash Gold Emperor, Purple Bell Emperor and Tiger Thorn Emperor, these 4 warriors exchanged glances and then looked at the native. You remnant of the flame sacrifice continent, after escaping the calamity back then, you still dare to show yourself? King Greygold roared. The 4 warriors all knew that if they discovered any remnant of the flame sacrifice continent, they could report it. However, the army didn't have such a requirement. Maybe the matter of chasing and killing them, the army had never treated this as the responsibility of these warriors. And the altar was related to the treasures. King Greygold and Purple Bell Emperor didn't want to attract more warriors. Enemies of the other races. The native floating there was chubby, but his smile was terrifying. I really want you all to die, but since you all want to escape this altar, I have no choice but to show myself. Let me introduce myself. I am a survivor of the flame sacrifice continent, Chiochika. Back then, when the continent was destroyed, I was just a normal undying. Countless years have passed, and even though I've been lonely, it's also given me great power. You've been here all this time? King Greygold, Purple Bell Emperor, Tiger Thorn Emperor and Luo Feng were all shocked. Yes, I've been watching your every move from within the altar. The native Chiochika smiled, but his smile was so creepy that it sent chills down one's spine. Originally, I wanted to set up a trap for you to kill each other. You foreign races destroyed my people back then, so today the more you die, the better. But I want the communication talisman more. I didn't expect you to actually take the 2 fallen warriors' talismans. Chiochika pointed at King Greygold. King Greygold frowned. This aboriginal actually knew he took the talismans. Looks like he really was monitoring the entire altar. What do you want the talismans for? King Greygold shouted. You said your plot. Luo Feng frowned. Don't tell me the treasure room. Purple Bell Emperor, Tiger Thorn Emperor and King Greygold Emperor were all shocked. Smart. The native Chiochika praised. You foreign races finally have a smart punk. Haha, I've been in the altar for a long time. The treasure room has always been open. If there really were any treasures, I would have taken them long ago. I wouldn't have waited for you guys to take them. Those 3 treasure chests are just empty chests. Anyway, you guys have no way of probing them, they're just tools to make you kill each other. What? Empty chests? For the empty chests, Night Chin Emperor and Ice Blade, the two emperors died. Tiger Thorn Emperor roared. King Grey Gold, Purple Bell Emperor and Luo Feng were all shocked. For the treasures, everyone had gone all out. King Grey Gold, Tiger Thorn and Purple Bell Emperor were all injured, losing some of their undying bodies. Human. The aboriginal Chiochika looked at Luo Feng. When you got the 3 treasure chests, you should have seen the contents. It clearly stated that only our own race can open the chest. I naturally opened them long ago and got a portion of the treasures, leaving the empty chests to trap you guys. There was indeed such a text. Luo Feng and Purple Bell Emperor creased their eyebrows. Purple Bell Emperor, did you see the text? King Grey Gold communicated. Purple Bell Emperor replied, yes, there was indeed such a text. And when we discovered the cabin, the door to the treasure room was open. And this aboriginal knows our every move like the back of his hand. Obviously he's been monitoring us. To be able to monitor us, he definitely knew the treasure room was open. Even if there were treasures, he would have taken them long ago. King Greygold agreed with this point. If you don't believe me, you can take out one of the treasure chests and I'll open it for you guys to see. The aboriginal Chiochika laughed. Yang, take out your treasure chest. King Greygold looked at Luo Feng. Take it out. Purple Bell Emperor said. Luo Feng frowned. However, he still flipped his hand and took out one of the chests. This chest was covered in complicated engravings. Even brute force wouldn't be able to open it. Luo Feng casually threw it over. The aboriginal Chiochika received it and touched the sides of the chest. With a click, he opened the lid. King Greygold, Purple Bell Emperor, Luo Feng and Tiger Thorn Emperor all stared hard. The chest was empty, there was nothing inside. Empty treasure chest. King Greygold's eyes were filled with rage. He roared. Bastard. He had even burned some of his undying body. Only now did he realize that the chest he fought for was empty. Even though the materials in the chest were valuable, they weren't even worth mentioning in his eyes. What he wanted was the treasure trove left behind by the aboriginals of the Sacrifice Flame continent when they were escaping. Haha! The aboriginal Chiochika laughed loudly. If it wasn't for this human escaping so quickly and leaving the core region, I wouldn't have shown myself. You guys kill each other, the more vicious the better. If you didn't show yourself, we wouldn't have known you were here. Why did you show yourself? King Greygold said solemnly. Luo Feng, Purple Bell Emperor and Tiger Thorn Emperor stared at the aboriginal. The aboriginal Chiochika looked at King Greygold and the other warriors with disgust. You foreign races, if it wasn't for the true treasure within the altar, I wouldn't even bother with you. The true treasure? Luo Feng was shocked within. King Greygold and Purple Bell Emperor were stunned too. Haha, you can't be thinking that a treasure trove room that even an emperor-level pinnacle could destroy would be hiding the true treasure, right? The aboriginal Chiochika sneered. You can't be thinking that after obtaining the treasure, I would still waste time with you and play with my life? Right. Luo Feng, King Greygold, Purple Bell Emperor and Tiger Thorn Emperor were all shocked. The protection of the inherited treasure trove room was so weak? The treasure trove is obviously hidden. The aboriginal Chiochika said coldly. The open room is the one you see. There are indeed treasures within the treasure chest, but they're very ordinary. And hidden in the dark is the true treasure trove of the race. The open treasure trove, as long as you're from my race, you can open it. However, the hidden treasure trove, not only do you have to be from your race, you also have to carry a communication talisman to open it. Having a communication talisman is a symbol of status. Without it, you have no right to open it. The aboriginal Chiochika said. Back when my race fled, the knights in the universe were worried that the normal people would be soul-controlled. Hence, only those with communication talismans can open the treasure trove, and those with communication talismans are all emperor-level beings. To soul-control an emperor is a very difficult thing. Luo Feng, King Greygold, Purple Bell Emperor and Tiger Thorn Emperor nodded as they heard. They had to admit, the Aboriginal's words were very logical, everything was logical. If you all leave, I'll never be able to get the true treasure trove. Without the communication talisman, I can't open it. However, without me, you foreign races won't be able to open it even with the communication talisman. The Aboriginal Chio Chika looked at Luo Feng and the others. My request is very simple. I want half of the treasure trove. Chapter 858. At the entrance of the core region of the altar, the native elder Chio Chi Ka spoke with confidence, revealing the secret of the treasure within the altar. Fake treasure and real treasure? Luo Feng pondered. One had to admit, this Chio Chi Ka's words sounded very real. The treasure chest I got before was empty, plus he could clearly sense our movements. Without a doubt, this native has long been within the altar, this is confirmed. There are two possibilities. The first, this Chio Chi Ka really wants the treasure within the altar, and the treasure requires the talisman, hence he came to us to work together. The second, everything was made up by him. That treasure room was the real treasure room, he had it long ago. However, back then his race was wiped out, hence this Chio Chi Ka has a huge hatred for us other races. He purposely made us kill each other before, now that we are leaving, he's trying to delay us, it's very likely that he has another plan to take revenge on us. Luo Feng thought. A survivor of a race that was wiped out. If Earth was wiped out or humanity was wiped out, Luo Feng too thought, he would madly take revenge on his enemies. Does he want the treasure? Or revenge? Luo Feng hesitated. Song Jin Emperor, Purple Zhong Emperor and Tiger Thorn Emperor were hesitating too. Song Jin Emperor, do you think this native is speaking the truth? Purple Zhong Emperor communicated. Half of it could be true, the other half could be fake. Song Jin Emperor communicated. Nonsense. The Purple Bell King could not help but think. What do we do? Purple Zhong Emperor said. I have to get the treasure. Song Jin Emperor's eyes were filled with ferocity. He had already ignited his undying body, even though he had gotten some of Ice Blade and Night Chen Emperor's wealth. That little bit of wealth wasn't enough to satisfy an Emperor-level warrior. He only had one goal, the altar's treasure. If he didn't get it, he wouldn't be satisfied. Then I'll listen to you, I believe with you around, even if the Yenji continent survivors have any plans, they won't succeed. Purple Zhong Emperor said. Haha, before the true difference in strength, all schemes are useless. Song Jin Emperor said confidently. Don't worry, after we get the altar's treasure, I'll follow the agreement and give you 20%. Thank you, King Songjin. Purple Bell King's heart was filled with hatred. Previously, they had agreed to split the loot 7-2-1. Now that Ice Blade was dead, King Ageless naturally took 80% of the loot. Elder Chio Chika looked at the expressions of the four and laughed coldly within. If it wasn't for you all fleeing so quickly, I would only have enough time to pass through a secret passage from the control room to the exit of the core region. I wouldn't have needed to take the risk. Before, Luo Feng and the other three were split into two groups. The other group was Luo Feng, Song Jin Emperor and Purple Bell Emperor, chasing. The first batch was the Tiger Thorn King alone. The two groups rushed towards the exit of the core zone through different corridors. Chio Chika was in the core control room at that time. There was a direct passage from the core control room to the exit of the core zone. What Chio Chika wanted to do the most was to stop the Tiger Thorn King by himself and kill the Tiger Thorn King with the help of the four natives to obtain the message talisman. Unfortunately, there was no suitable path to stop the Tiger Thorn King, so he could only take the risk. Greed, ambition, and desire are things that experts cannot erase. Chio Chika looked at the expressions of the four experts and felt relieved. Everyone, have you made your decision? Chio Chika said solemnly. Below, Song Jin Emperor, Purple Bell Emperor, Luo Feng and Tiger Thorn Emperor exchanged glances. Even though Luo Feng was being chased before, since the treasure was confirmed to be fake, Songjin Emperor and Purple Bell Emperor wouldn't waste any more time with Luo Feng. These warriors wouldn't do anything without benefit. Good. I believe you. Songjin Emperor's voice rumbled, his eyes like lightning. Chiu Chica, don't do anything stupid. Purple Bell Emperor laughed coldly. I'll believe you for now too. Let's make a trip. Tiger Thorn Emperor looked at Luo Feng. The two exchanged glances and nodded. With Night Chin Emperor dead, the two of them would have to support each other. Even though Songjin Emperor was intrepid, Luo Feng's defense was heavenly, and Tiger Thorn Emperor was an Emperor pinnacle. If they really fought, even if Songjin Emperor killed Luo Feng and Tiger Thorn Emperor, he would have to pay more than 10% of his undying body. This price was too high, as long as we are careful and don't take too much. That Songjin Emperor won't go crazy. Losing less than 5% of his undying body is still easy to recover. However, exceeding 5% would be troublesome. Exceeding 10% would be even more troublesome. Tiger Thorn Emperor communicated. You and I are together. The moment we fight, we'll work together. Luo Feng communicated. The four warriors all agreed. Elder Chiu Chica laughed. Indeed, they all want the treasure. However, I said before, I'll take half. We've also said we agree. Songjin Emperor said seriously. Purple Bell Emperor, Tiger Thorn Emperor and Luo Feng all nodded. Within, Songjin Emperor and the others laughed coldly. Half? It was just a verbal agreement. Against these foreign race enemies, they would naturally do anything. When the treasure is truly opened, naturally they would go all out to snatch it. This aborigine probably has some trump cards. Luo Feng and the others understood this point. However, for the treasure, and with such an advantage in strength, no one would give it up. Follow me. Chiu Chica immediately flew ahead. Wait a moment. Songjin Emperor ordered. Chiu Chica suddenly stopped and looked suspiciously at Songjin Emperor. Songjin Emperor, however, flashed coldly and stood in front of Chiu Chica, simultaneously ordering, for the sake of mutual trust, you aborigine, stay in the middle of the four of us. Shwa, shwa, shwa. Purple Bell Emperor, Tiger Thorn Emperor and Luo Feng all stood around Chiu Chica, surrounding him. He's so strong and yet so cowardly. Chiu Chica laughed. This is called being careful. Warriors who aren't careful would have fallen long ago. Songjin Emperor said coldly. Then let's go. I'll lead the way. Chiu Chica said, follow this corridor on the left. Immediately, this mixed team formed by Chiu Chica and the four warriors began to enter the altar. Under Chiu Chica's guidance, Luo Feng and the others did indeed discover a few hidden passages. They only needed to push open a few seemingly tight walls and they would be able to push open a door. Behind the door was the passage. Altar Core Control Room. Lord Pu Ai, Latimer and Menbu all held their breaths nervously as they watched the projection. The elder he. Menbu gripped his fists tightly, his eyes filled with worry and nervousness. Third brother is putting himself in danger for the sake of the clan. Lord Pu Ai said seriously, right now, the other invaders are already following the elder's plan. The plan is half a success. This time, no matter what price we have to pay, we have to get the treasures. Latimer and Menbu nodded. Let's see. Lord Pu Ai said slowly, let's see if third brother can succeed. After all, these invaders are all extremely careful and smart, and their strengths are also very strong. To succeed, half of it depends on third brother and the other half on luck. Along a dark inner passageway, Songjin Emperor and the other three warriors surrounded the elder Chiu Chica in the middle and carefully entered the passage. The further they went, the brighter the passage became. After a while, Luo Feng and the others arrived at a bright hall. Where do we go next? Songjin Emperor shouted. We're here. Chiu Chica's eyes were filled with passion. We're here? Luo Feng couldn't help but look around curiously. This huge hall had a diameter of over 10 kilometers, however the walls were incredibly smooth. There were only a few complicated sacrificial engravings, there was no way to see any hidden treasures. Even if you're in front of the treasure room, you won't be able to find it. Qiu Chika sneered. Even if you find the treasure room, you won't be able to open it. Where's the treasure room? Songjin Emperor raged. Luo Feng and the others looked at Qiu Chika. Qiu Chika, however, calmly walked towards the distant wall. Luo Feng and the other warriors naturally didn't dare to stray too far, in case Qiu Chika set a trap for them. On the smooth wall, Qiu Chika took a deep breath, chanting within, "Countless of my clansmen have died. I've allowed them to enter the treasure room for the sake of the clan's prosperity. My clansmen, forgive me." After which, he extended his 6 palms and simultaneously placed them on the sacrificial engravings on the wall. The engravings immediately lit up and a rumbling sound could be heard. Luo Feng turned to look. The wall that was originally like a hole began to slowly open up, revealing a passage that was only 10 meters wide. "The treasure room is inside," Qiu Chika said. "Very good, this way everyone can work together. Isn't that good?" Songjin Emperor laughed loudly. However, he still remained cautious and the 4 warriors surrounded Qiu Chika as they walked towards the pathway. The pathway was only 100 m long. At the end was a golden door. The entire door's engravings were even more profound and the energy emanated. "This is AG grade metal?" "It's AG grade metal. Other than the treasure chest, this is the first time we've seen AG grade metal in the altar. And it's an entire door made out of G grade metal. Just this door alone, it's probably worth a few 100 million yuan units." Purple Zhong Emperor laughed softly. Beside him, Songjin Emperor was full of smiles too. Just the door alone was that expensive. Looks like Qiu Chika's words could very well be true. The treasures within the door would definitely be shocking. "Burning some of my undying body, worth it, it's definitely worth it." Songjin Emperor couldn't help but feel excited within. Luo Feng too quietly observed everything. No matter what, with Wu Yu's wings and silver armor, he had confidence in escaping with his life. Naturally, he wouldn't easily give up on the treasure. "Attention all, to open the door to the treasure room, 1. You have to have the communication talisman. 2. You have to be from my clan." Qiu Chika said coldly, "Just give me the communication talisman and let me open the treasure room. P.S. The 2nd chapter is up, there's still the 3rd chapter today." Chapter 859. Give Qiu Chika the message? Songjin Emperor, Luo Feng and the other warriors looked at each other. If the message fell into Qiu Chika's hands, it would be troublesome to get it back. "Humph!" Seeing this scene, clan elder Qiu Chika snorted and sneered. "You guys are experts after all. You want the treasure but you don't want to give me the message talisman. Haha, dream on. If you don't want to give it to me, then don't give it to me. I don't have the ability to take it by force either. However, without the message, I can't open the door." Songjin Emperor ordered softly, "Purple Zhong Emperor, go and try. See if you can open the door." Purple Zhong Emperor was unhappy within, but on the surface, he still nodded, "All right." Luo Feng and Tiger Thorn Emperor stood at the side and watched silently. Purple Bell Emperor walked to the golden glowing door and used both his hands to touch the door, trying to push it with force. Infusing his undying energy, the talisman floated in his palm as he tried to touch the door. He tried every method he could think of to open the door. "Chem?" Purple Zhong Emperor frowned as he tried. However, he kept failing. This made Songjin Emperor's expression turn ugly. He couldn't help but look at the elder Qiu Chika. Qiu Chika only laughed coldly at this scene and laughed softly. "You want to get the treasure without me? Dream on. Go ahead and try. You other races want to open my race's treasure? You must be dreaming." Qiu Chika didn't hide his laughter at all. Everyone present heard it. "Shut up." Songjin Emperor shouted. Humph. The elder Chiu Chika glanced at him and didn't say anything. Songjin Emperor turned to Purple Zhong Emperor, who was still trying, and shouted, "Since you can't open it, stop trying." Purple Zhong Emperor was unhappy within, but he obediently walked back and said, "Looks like only the aboriginals can open the Yenji continent race's treasure. Chiu Chika, you are an emperor too, not an idiot. Don't play any tricks," Songjin Emperor said solemnly. Chiu Chika glanced at him and didn't say anything. "Here." King Chongjin threw a communication talisman to Chiu Chika. Chiu Chika took the translucent triangular communication talisman. His trembling hands couldn't hide his excitement. The talisman was successfully recognized as its owner. Chiu Chika's eyes were wet as he screamed in his heart, my people, I finally got the talisman." Buzz, when the Chiu Chi card fused with the message talisman and successfully recognized its master, the entire altar connected to the Chiu Chi card as if it had a life of its own. "Master," a voice sounded in Chiu Chika's consciousness. "Sacrificial tower." Chiu Chika was excited. Yes, this altar was actually a mobile survival base that could fly, just like a star fortress. It contained intelligence. The altar's AI would control the entire altar. Different Yenji continent residents would have different levels of authority. Normal clansmen, undying clansmen, clansmen with talismans, their authority would be higher and higher. Before this, Chiu Chika and the others could only monitor some low-level activities in the control room. But now, Chiu Chika had become the owner of the entire altar. Only Yenji continent natives who fused with the talisman would be recognized by the entire altar. Only those who fused with the talisman would be considered leaders and the true controller of the altar. Back then, when the 6 leaders died, the entire altar was like a piece of scrap metal. It couldn't fly at all. Altar, the core control room. Lord God Pu Ai, Latimer, and Menbu were all watching. Especially when they saw Chiu Chika fuse with the talisman, they were all excited. Menbu was so excited that he started crying. "Pu Ai, Latimer, Menbu, I'm halfway there," a voice sounded in the control room. "Third brother," Pu Ai shouted excitedly. "Clan elder! Clan elder!" Menbu and Latimer shouted excitedly. "You can talk to us? I'm now the controller of the altar. I can communicate with the altar's AI consciousness. Naturally, my voice can be heard anywhere in the altar. Now, I'm going to take the most important step. Dear clansmen, please bless me for success, and also bless us, a race full of calamities, to obtain the most important inheritance." Chiu Chika's voice was filled with nervousness and excitement. In front of the treasure trove. "Hurry up and open the treasure trove." Ash Gold Emperor frowned and shouted. Luo Feng too carefully observed Chiu Chika. However, from the outside, he couldn't tell that Chiu Chika had already become the master of the altar. "Ha ha ha, how many years has it been, how many years has it been? I can finally obtain the clan's treasure trove." Chiu Chika sneered and looked at Ash Gold Emperor. "You and I are working together, don't be too arrogant." "Humph." Ash Gold Emperor snorted coldly, looking coldly at Chiu Chika. "I'll let you be arrogant for a while. I'll open the treasure trove." Chiu Chika immediately walked towards the treasure trove. Purple Zhong Emperor followed. Luo Feng, Tiger Thorn Emperor and Ash Gold Emperor too followed Chiu Chika. They definitely wouldn't stray too far away. Chiu Chika's lips curled into a smile of disdain. He walked straight to the door and extended his palm to gently touch the door. The engravings on the door lit up. There was a reaction. Ash Gold Emperor and Purple Zhong Emperor immediately revealed looks of excitement. However, even though there was a reaction, the door remained shut. "What's going on?" Ash Gold Emperor couldn't help but shout. "Bring me another message talisman." Chiu Chika turned and shouted. "To open the door to the treasure trove, you'll need 2. Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Ash Gold Emperor frowned. "I wasn't the leader back then. Only the 6 leaders knew all the secrets of the altar. I only knew that the true treasure trove, the clan members had to use the talisman to open it. I only knew this. As for the clan members needing 2 talismans to open the treasure trove, this secret was probably only known by the leaders. Before opening the treasure trove, how would I know? Chiyochika raged. Back then there were 6 leaders. This setup was to prevent any one of the leaders from messing around. If you can't, you can all open the treasure trove yourselves. Chiyochika raged. Humph. Ash Gold Emperor snorted and threw out another talisman. Chiyochika took the message talisman. At the same time, another talisman appeared in his palm. Each of his arms held a talisman and pressed it on the door at the same time. Alter, lock the talismans and simultaneously open the door to the treasure trove. Chiyochika ordered. Yes, master. Wong, the engravings on the door lit up and countless beams of light wrapped around the 2 talismans. One on the left and one on the right, countless beams of light wrapped around them. Following which, kakaka, sounds resounded and the entire door began to rise. This scene made Ash Gold Emperor and Purple Bell Emperor reveal looks of anticipation. The treasure trove has opened, Luo Feng observed quietly. So, Chiyochika rushed in. You want to steal the treasure? Ash Gold Emperor raged. So, he and Purple Bell Emperor immediately rushed into the treasure trove. Luo Feng and Tiger Thorn Emperor naturally swiftly followed. The treasure trove room was completely made of G-grade metal. It was filled with countless engravings. The room was 20 m long, 20 m wide and 10 m tall. Simultaneously, there were 12 metal locks on the metal floor, locking the ancient treasure chest that had existed for 1 trillion years. Treasure chest. Chiyochika was the first to rush towards the chest. The treasure trove room he brought these foreign race enemies to was indeed a real treasure trove, and within the chest was a true treasure trove that even Chiyochika had never obtained before. Get lost. A bolt of lightning struck Chiyochika's body. It was a lightning spear. The entire lightning spear smashed fiercely into Chiyochika's body, sending him flying and crashing into the wall. Ash Gold Emperor fiercely grabbed the chest. Mine. Ash Gold Emperor fiercely pulled. Voila! The 12 chains suddenly tightened. They were covered in mysterious runes and easily resisted the Ashagold King's pulling force. Ha ha ha! You still want to steal the treasure? Chiyochika laughed mockingly after crashing into the wall. These chains are made with special metals. Even a universe knight would find it extremely difficult to break them. As for you? Even if you self-destruct, you probably won't be able to break them. Idiot. Purple Bell Emperor was originally nervous. However, he laughed coldly within. Luo Feng and Tiger Thorn Emperor let out a sigh of relief. We'll play by ear. Luo Feng communicated. That Chiyochika definitely won't be stupid enough to bring us in and give us the treasure without taking anything. Similarly, Ash Gold Emperor won't be willing to give half of the treasure to Chiyochika. The 2 of them definitely have some conflict. The moment they start fighting, we'll have a chance. Tiger Thorn Emperor agreed. The chains can't be broken. However, the chest can be opened. Chiyochika sneered at Ash Gold Emperor. Of course a foreign race like you won't be able to open the chest. Open it! Ash Gold Emperor ordered. You think I'm an idiot? Open it and I'll give it to you. Is there such a good deal? Chiyochika looked at Ash Gold Emperor. Ash Gold Emperor's huge chest rose and fell. He seemed to be raging as he stared hard at Chiyochika. Chiyochika too stared at Ash Gold Emperor. Chiyochika laughed. Simultaneously, he ordered within, Altar Tower, close the door to the treasure trove. Yes, master. Rumble. A huge sound suddenly resounded. Luo Feng fiercely turned his head to look, only to see the door to the treasure room that had been rising suddenly fall. The entire treasure room was completely shut. What's going on? Ash Gold Emperor roared furiously. Simultaneously, the thunder spear in his hand fiercely stabbed at Chiyochika, pinning him against the wall. Why did the door to the treasure trove suddenly close? How do we get out? Yes, the door to the treasure trove is closed, Chiochika exclaimed. How do we get out? I'll think of something for you. Chiochika seemed to be deep in thought. After which, he said, you can use the God Country teleportation to leave the treasure trove. Ash Gold Emperor, Purple Bell Emperor and Tiger Thorn Emperor's expressions changed. Luo Feng thought everyone didn't trust each other. Who would use the God Country teleportation? What's more, the treasure trove hasn't been acquired yet. Who would be willing to leave? Chiochika's actions, it was obvious he was really going all out. What's he doing? Luo Feng frowned. The one with the strongest life preservation ability was probably Luo Feng. Naturally, he could calmly watch everything unfold. P.S. 3 chapters completed. I didn't expect Tomato's second chapter to be 6 seconds late today. Woo, I'll have to continue working hard for the next 2 days. Chapter 860. Luo Feng gazed about. The entire room was made of G-grade metal, along with the engravings. It was impossible to force his way out. Aboriginal, what are you trying to do? Gold Song wielded his lightning spear, his voice rumbling as he stared angrily at Chiochika. Purple Clock and Piercing Tiger stared coldly at him too. Even though the door was closed and they couldn't leave, Luo Feng and the others didn't panic at all. Because they could use God Country teleportation to escape, it was just that they didn't trust each other, plus they still wanted the treasures, hence they wouldn't choose to leave in a short amount of time. At this time, outside the room, 2 streams of light quickly flew over and stopped outside the treasure room. They were the native experts, Menbu and La Dmo. The 2 of them looked at the 2 talismans locked on the door of the treasure room. They were both excited and pained. Pa! Pa! Menbu and La Dmo extended their hands and easily grabbed the talismans. The 2 of them hesitantly looked towards the treasure room. The 2 of them knew that their clan elder was inside the treasure room. Elder! Menbu and La Dmo were pained within. Why aren't you leaving? A voice drilled into their ears. Hurry up and leave. You can't be careless when it comes to the inheritance of our race. Yes. Menbu and La Dmo gritted their teeth and immediately became beams of light and left the room. Elder, you have to come out alive, you have to come out alive. Menbu looked up and shouted hoarsely. Elder! La Dmo shouted too. A voice came from the corridor. If I can survive, I will definitely come out alive. However, the probability of me coming out alive is very low. As long as you can bring back all the inheritances in the inheritance room, I will have no more regret. Elder! Elder! La Dmo and Menbu cried. At this time, within the control room of the tower, Pu Ai was both excited and pained at the scene before him. This was Chiochika's inheritance plan. The entire plan was to increase the chances of getting the talismans. The plan was simple. Chiochika would use the treasures to attract the other race warriors and then lead them to the treasure room and ask for the talismans to open it. He would then use this opportunity to leave the talismans on the door and enter the room, acting like he was going to steal the treasures. This would naturally attract the other race warriors, and when the door closed, the talismans would land in Menbu and La Dmo's hands. With the door closed, the other race warriors wouldn't be able to leave. Menbu and La Dmo could naturally head to the inheritance room and take away the countless inheritances. There were 2 aspects to this plan that required luck. One was whether Gold Song and the others would trust Chiochika and be willing to enter the room with him. Would Gold Song and the others follow Chiochika into the room? Would anyone notice the talisman on the door and ask for it? However, even if they did, Chiochika would control the door to close it. This way, Chiochika could just say, "The talisman has to be on the door, otherwise the door will be closed." Overall, both of these were risky. Chiochika would be the first to enter the treasure room and get himself trapped. This was the main reason for the plan to succeed. If he didn't enter, or if he escaped the moment he entered, Gold Song and the others would follow. Naturally, Gold Song and the other experts would follow him. They wouldn't be trapped in the treasure room and affect the inheritance plan. Third brother. Pu Ai shouted in pain. You didn't have to enter the treasure room. If I don't enter, they won't enter. If they don't enter, Menbu and the others won't be able to get the talisman easily, and the inheritance plan will be affected. Chiu Chi Ka's voice resounded within the control room. Everything for the race. Everything for the race. Pu Ai nodded. Of the 3 treasure rooms back then, the first room had very few treasures. It was considered a treasure room. The second room had many treasures. It was a true treasure. The third treasure room had countless techniques suitable for the natives of Yanji continent. It was the true inheritance of the race. The inheritance room was the most important of the 3 rooms. Chiu Chi Ka couldn't allow himself to fail. Hence he entered naturally the second room. Within the room. What am I doing? Chiu Chi Ka smiled at Gold Song, other race expert. Guess what I'm going to do? Still playing with me? Gold Song's voice rumbled. Luo Feng frowned as he looked at Chiu Chi Ka. He felt like something was wrong with him, as though he had already won. Speak, what do I have to do to open that treasure chest? Gold Song pointed at the ancient treasure chest that was chained up by 12 chains in the middle of the room. Chiu Chi Ka smiled at him. Do you want to die? Gold Song suppressed his rage and roared. Smart. Chiu Chi Ka looked at Gold Song and said softly, I want to die. Beside him, Piercing Tiger and Luo Feng were all stunned. Gold Song was stunned too, after which they looked in disbelief at this aboriginal. I want to die. Do you understand? It's been too long, I've lived for too long, and I've been in pain for too long. My race has been destroyed, and I've been struggling for countless years. It's been too tiring. It's time to end it. Chiu Chi Ka's eyes gleamed with relief. I may even be able to drag 1 or 2 other emperors down with me when I die. Haha, how delightful. Not good. This aboriginal is crazy. Purple Clock and Piercing Tiger were both shocked. This aboriginal was a pinnacle emperor. If he self-destructed, Gold Song might be fine, but they would be in trouble. I've finally gotten the inheritance. He closed his eyes and smiled. I've done enough. Masha. My lover, when you died of old age, I wanted to leave with you. Only I couldn't now. I've come to rest with you in the land of silence. Chiu Chi Ka, who had his eyes closed, had a calm smile on his face, following which the energy undulations from his body exploded forth. No! Within the control room, Pu Ai saw the scene and howled in pain. No! Third brother, don't do this. Xiao! 2 beams of light flew into the control room. It was La Dmo and Menbu who had gotten the inheritance. They too were stunned by the scene. Elder. No. Within the treasure room. No. Piercing Tiger stared wide-eyed and slammed into the wall beside him. However, the wall was simply too sturdy. Madman, madman, madman! Purple Clock gritted his teeth and cursed madly within. Madman! Gold Song too roared coldly as he stood there. Luo Feng wrapped himself in his wings and muttered, I wonder if I can make it. Chiu Chi Ka smiled and closed his eyes. Rumble. His every cell began to burn and release a terrifying energy. Trillions of years of undying body all gathered at that moment. Rumble. A mad energy akin to 1,000,000 sector Lord Kings combined swept through the entire room. The room was only so big, there was nowhere to hide. I cannot die. Piercing Tiger howled. Humph. Purple Clock snorted as a purple clock silhouette appeared around him. Luo Feng wrapped himself in his wings. Gold Song watched coldly. A powerful energy storm engulfed the 4 warriors. At this time, Piercing Tiger and Purple Clock both gave it their all. Rumble. After being weakened by the Shaowu wings and the silver armor, the impact still completely shattered Luo Feng's last layer of cloud contact armor. The cloud contact armor was as tough as a low emperor, even a high emperor would find it hard to shatter it. Completely shattering it meant the difference was huge. Rumble. The two weakened attacks were completely blocked by the armor. The remaining force shook Luofeng's body, instantly destroying 80% of it. However, with large amounts of energy, it swiftly recovered. Gold Song, Purple Clock and Piercing Tiger without the Sha Wu wings and general armor were different. Gold Song stood there coldly. His body was shattered from the impact, however it reformed immediately. His expression was still cold as he looked at the three of them coldly. There was no need to mention the tragedy in the room. Within the core control room, Pu Ai, La Diamo and Menbu were all in pain. Their race had been wiped out, and they had struggled under Chiu Chi Ka's leadership. He was their spiritual leader, and he had always protected them. Many of the difficulties and dangers were resolved by him. Now that they had gotten the inheritance, he was gone forever. These are the last words the master left behind. He told me to pass it to you after he died. The AI's voice resounded within the control room. Pu Ai, La Diamo and Menbu held their breath. Chiu Chi Ka's voice resounded. Pu Ai, La Diamo, Menbu, when you hear this, I will have already fallen. Forgive me, I am a fugitive. Over trillions of years, I only held on for faith. Now that I've gotten the inheritance, I'm satisfied. I'll leave the rest to you. Remember, the door to the treasure room is already closed, and the other races cannot leave. They have no way of opening the chest either. I believe they will eventually choose to teleport out of the God Country. The moment they leave, one of you must secretly go and retrieve the treasure from the chest. This is the most perfect outcome. If the other races arrive, you all immediately enter the God Country through the space pathway and destroy it. Prepare for both scenarios. Pu Ai, my brothers, La Diamo, Menbu, children, the future of the race is in your hands. Forgive me for escaping. There were no more sounds. Pu Ai, La Diamo and Menbu couldn't help but cry. The surviving Undyings had supported each other for trillions of years. Their relationship was incredibly deep, and Chiu Chi Ka was like an elder brother, sheltering the race from the elements. You're not escaping, third brother. You're not escaping. You're just too tired, too tired. You need rest. Pu Ai muttered. Beside him, La Diamo and Menbu were already sobbing. For the race, their elder Chiu Chi Ka had fallen. P.S. End of Chapter 1. Chapter 861. We have to let the race rise, we cannot let the elders die for nothing. La Diamo roared, beside him Menbu nodded. Look at the treasure room. The Divine Master Pu Ai said in a low voice, the treasure room and the inheritance room. The inheritance room contains all kinds of secret techniques that are suitable for our race's body structure that we have accumulated over countless years, while the treasure room contains all kinds of precious treasures. As long as these other race god countries teleport away, we will be able to get the treasure. La Diamo and Menbu also nodded solemnly as they watched the scene in the virtual projection with a burning gaze. Within the treasure room, Chiu Chi Ka was an emperor pinnacle warrior. His self-destruction lasted for a while before the room finally calmed down. Bastard, bastard, bastard! Piercing Tiger howled in the corner, his eyes filled with madness. Humph! Purple Clock's expression was ashen, his eyes gleaming as he glanced at Gold Song in the center. Gold Song, however, had a cold expression. Luo Feng was like a cocoon formed by the silver wings as he was pressed against the wall. After which, he spread his wings and gazed around. Piercing Tiger's energy had already dropped to a shocking level. On the contrary, Purple Clock's energy didn't change much, and so did Gold Song. Piercing Tiger has suffered huge losses, over half of his undying body is gone. Luo Feng was curious, but Purple Clock isn't injured? It's normal that Gold Song isn't injured, but this Purple Clock. There were two enemies. Gold Song, Emperor Limit. Purple Clock, Emperor Pinnacle. Humph, humph. Gold Song laughed coldly. You sure know how to disguise yourself. Gold Song laughed coldly at Purple Clock, his voice rumbling. Purple Clock, if it wasn't for that aboriginal self-destruction, I really wouldn't have been able to tell that your Chi-Chong race had such power. Other than when you burned 3% of your undying body against that human Yang, after that, whether it was Night Emperor's self-destruction or this aboriginal's, none of them hurt you at all. Under this attack, Gold Song was unharmed. Luo Feng's terrifying defense was still unharmed. Gold Song had long guessed that this human had some special trump card. Hence, he wasn't shocked that Luo Feng could survive this ordeal. Piercing Tiger had lost more than half of his undying body. If his injuries were more serious, he would probably fall into a deep sleep. This was within expectations. Only Purple Clock acted like a normal Pinnacle Emperor. Before, when Night Emperor self-destructed, Purple Clock shouted that he was injured. However, because he was hiding in his cabin and the explosion was spread in all directions, even Piercing Tiger was not injured. Even if Purple Clock was injured, it was hard to tell from the surface. No one noticed the uniqueness of Purple Clock. But this time was different. Chiu Chi Ka self-destructed in the small treasure room. The treasure room was 20 m wide and 10 m tall. It was extremely small. Sealed. Adding on the fact that the defenses of the cabin were strong enough to withstand Chiu Chi Ka's self-destruction without any damage, the explosion was extremely powerful. Piercing Tiger King would definitely be heavily injured. If it was worse, he would lose consciousness and fall into eternal slumber. Yet Purple Clock was unharmed. That was weird. Hee hee. Purple Clock laughed. His scales were wrinkled, making him look extremely ugly. His voice was sharp. Gold Song, there are trillions of races in the universe, with countless treasures and dangerous places. So what if I have a few life-saving moves? You didn't mention anything about the plan before. Gold Song looked at him. This is a life-saving move, there's no need to mention it. Purple Clock lowered his head, obviously admitting defeat. Humph. Gold Song snorted coldly. He then glanced at Piercing Tiger King and the human youth and sneered in his heart. Piercing Tiger King was not worth mentioning. As for the human youth, he obviously had powerful defensive means, but his offensive strength was mediocre. There was no need to fear him. I think we should all try to open the treasure. Gold Song pointed at the chest. Who wants to go first? Who dared to go first? Gold Song, you go first. Purple Clock said. Humph. Only then did Gold Song walk towards the ancient treasure chest that was bound by the 12 chains. He used brute force and various techniques to think of a way to break it. In the end, he unwillingly kicked the treasure chest, causing the space around it to crack. He shouted, "You guys come and try." "Let me." Purple Clock walked up to the chest and looked at Luo Feng. "Human, why don't you give it a try?" "No need." Luo Feng wasn't in a rush. Purple Clock tried many times, but failed. Luo Feng and Piercing Tiger tried too, but they failed too. Within the control room of the tower. These other races still want our treasure? Dream on. Menbu said hatefully. The treasure is ours. La Dmo sneered. These alien races are all unwilling. Look at Gold Song, the strongest one among them. He's about to go crazy. However, what's the use? They still won't get the treasure. They only have one choice, to leave via God Country teleportation. Wait for them to leave, then we'll get the treasure. Pu Ai said. The three aboriginals watched on silently, anticipating the invaders to leave via God Country teleportation. The stalemate lasted for a full 10 minutes before Gold Song and Purple Clock realized that they had no way of opening the chest. Maybe I can make the Masha race transform into an aboriginal of Yen-Ji continent and try opening it. Luo Feng stood in the corner with Piercing Tiger and thought. However, I don't have absolute confidence in deceiving the system. Whether or not it works, I can't try in front of Gold Song and the others. What a waste of effort! Gold Song roared angrily, resounding throughout the room. Purple Clock, Piercing Tiger and Luo Feng couldn't help but mutter. Waste of effort? That Ice Blade and Night Emperor had gotten the treasures of the 6 guides, and in the end, all of their wealth ended up in Gold Song's hands. It was estimated to be at least tens of billions of mixed element. That was considered a waste of effort? Greed is something that all experts have in their hearts. Luo Feng couldn't help but sigh. The only difference is that some can control their greed while others can't. You 3. Gold Song's voice resounded. Use God Country teleportation to leave first. Luo Feng was shocked. The 3 of them were to leave first? Wouldn't that reveal their God Country coordinates? Then wouldn't Gold Song be able to follow them into their God Country? With his strength. The moment he entered an enemy God Country, whether it was Piercing Tiger or Purple Clocks, the God Country would be destroyed. We leave first? Purple Clock raged. Gold Song, your strength is far greater than mine. If you teleport away, none of us would dare to follow you into your God Country. Hence, from what I see, we should go by strength. The strongest should leave first, the weaker should leave last. Right. Piercing Tiger roared too. I agree. Luo Feng nodded. They were very clear that the 3 of them had to work together. In the dark treasure room, Gold Song, whose body was surrounded by electric snakes, let out a low roar. Those who go against me, die. Even if we don't go against you, we will still die. Purple Clock's eyes gleamed fiercely. I'm already heavily injured and will need countless years to recover. Gold Song, don't go overboard. Piercing Tiger King's eyes flashed with a trace of madness. How pitiful was he? This time, he didn't manage to obtain any treasures and was heavily injured to such an extent. As a titled king, he still had his pride. After such a long time, many titled kings no longer feared death, and self-detonation was a common occurrence. Luo Feng looked at Gold Song too. It was obvious that the 3 of them had formed an alliance without even talking. Gold Song's eyes gleamed as he looked at them with interest. You sure have guts. I've already activated the virtual world teleportation. Purple Clock gritted his teeth and stared at Gold Song. Record everything around. If you dare make a move, no one will be able to protect you if you attack your comrades from the same camp. Record and teleport. Gold Song mocked. All the signals in the tower are blocked, there's no way to scan. You can only use your eyes to record and record, that's the most basic method. However, I've long warped the light and sent the sound directly into your mind. You have no way to record anything. Purple Clock's expression changed. Haha, this tower, even the most expensive scanning signal is useless, even God energy scanning is useless. Your virtual world device only has a recording function, and that's the most misleading and easy to fake. It can't be used as evidence. What's more, I can control light and sound, haha. Gold Song smiled at Purple Clock. For you to be able to withstand that aboriginal self-destruction without being injured, you must have a treasure on you. That human can withstand it too, Purple Clock said nervously. Luo Feng's expression changed when he heard this. Gold Song looked at Luo Feng with interest. That human strength isn't even comparable to yours, but his defense is absurd. He must have some kind of powerful special method. Relax. I'll deal with you all one by one. Even though I won't get the treasure this time, I'll still get your wealth. That's a little compensation. Purple Clock, Piercing Tiger and Luo Feng were all shocked. Gold Song was already tearing off all pretenses. Don't go overboard. Piercing Tiger roared. Shut up. With such heavy injuries, your self-destruction won't harm me at all. Gold Song mocked. I don't care about your wealth, I care more about these 2. His gaze landed on Luo Feng and Purple Clock. Don't force me. Purple Clock roared, at the same time flipping his hand and a black crystal ball appeared. A heart-shaking energy ripple spread from it. If forced, we will all die together. P.S. The second chapter is here, and the third chapter. Chapter 862. Luo Feng, who was standing with Tiger Thorn Emperor, was shocked. Looking carefully, the black crystal ball looked very normal on the surface, only the energy ripples revealed that this black crystal ball wasn't normal. It's a fire god crystal, and an extremely high-end one. Luo Feng thought, at least it's higher end than the one I bought before. The one he spent 800 million points to buy before that was comparable to an Emperor-level warrior's self-destruct. It was obviously not as good as this one before him. According to the classification. Of course, there were Thunder God Origin Crystals, Water God Origin Crystals, and so on. However, in terms of explosive power, the Fire God Origin Crystal was the cheapest, so the Fire God Origin Crystal was the most popular, but every inch had its own advantages. The Thunder God Origin Crystal, Water God Origin Crystal, and so on also had some special advantages. At certain times, they were also important, so naturally there were strong people who bought them. Ha 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 ha! A loud and powerful laugh resounded. The voice echoed within Ash Gold Emperor's chest. Purple Zhong Emperor, however, held the Fire God Crystal in his hand. Threatening me? You are threatening me? Ash Gold Emperor's voice was like thunder. His huge stature allowed him to look down on Purple Zhong Emperor. Just relying on this Fire God Crystal in your hand to threaten me? Haha, this Fire God's Origin Crystal is your most famous trump card, the A812 Grade Fire God's Origin Crystal, right? I heard that when you, Purple Zhong King, encountered a life and death crisis several times, you always took out this Fire God's Origin Crystal to threaten your opponents, and it really allowed you to escape several calamities. Today, you used it to threaten me again? However, the Purple Bell King muttered softly with a sharp voice, A812 Fire God Origin Crystal, an extremely high-end product among Fire God Origin Crystals. It is equivalent to 3 times the power of a peak king-ranked martial artist's self-destruction. Just this Fire God Origin Crystal alone used up my endless wealth back then. 812? Luo Feng's heart skipped a beat. The higher the power of the Fire God Crystal, the higher its price. Comparable to an Emperor-level warrior's self-destruct only required 800 million points. However, this A812 Fire God Crystal, if he wanted to buy it, he would have to spend 12 billion points. Purple Zhong Emperor's price would probably be even higher. Such a huge amount of wealth, almost enough to make an Emperor-level Undying go bankrupt. With such wealth, many warriors would rather buy treasures to raise their strength, or buy powerful weapons, etc. Those who were determined to buy a Fire God Crystal were few and far between. You're right. I relied on it to escape several calamities. The Purple Bell King's sharp voice continued. I believe I can escape this calamity this time. It's useless. It doesn't pose much of a threat to me, King Ageless Gold said confidently. 3 times the power of a peak king-ranked Divine King's self-destruction. Of course, it won't be able to kill you. However, in such a confined space, I believe it can destroy 5% to 10% of your immortal divine body. Purple Bell King looked at King Changjin. You are already injured. If you get injured again, it will take a long time for you to recover. King Changjin nodded. Well said. Ash Gold Emperor turned to look at Luo Feng. Human, this Purple Bell Emperor makes me feel troubled. I don't mind killing you first. Humph. Luo Feng didn't speak. The atmosphere within the treasure room seemed to freeze. Purple Zhong Emperor, Luo Feng and Tiger Thorn Emperor, the 3 weaklings all looked at Ash Gold Emperor. Actually, Ash Gold Emperor's earlier threats were to force Luo Feng and the others to reveal their trump cards. If Luo Feng's trump cards were terrifying, Ash Gold Emperor would stop. If Luo Feng and Purple Zhong Emperor didn't have any powerful trump cards, then Ash Gold Emperor would make his move. This sort of action was very normal before an absolute warrior's battle. Because, to train to such a level, one would have trained for 1,000,000 years, 10,000,000 years or even older. Even if one could suppress the opponent and kill the opponent, one would have to first force the opponent. If one were to use a killing move right from the start, forcing the opponent to crazily take out a terrifying fire god origin crystal, pung, both of them would die at the same time, wouldn't that be a waste? With the possibility of both sides being heavily injured, the strong usually didn't want to kill each other. It's a pity your threat is too weak. Ash Gold Emperor revealed a radiant smile. Then you can all die. Attack. Purple Zhong Emperor roared. Kill. Tiger Thorn Emperor immediately ignited his immortal divine body. Fight it out. Luo Feng too communicated. Luo Feng and the other two immediately understood Ash Gold Emperor's final decision to kill them. Even if they died, they couldn't let Ash Gold Emperor have it easy. Even though Tiger Thorn Emperor, Purple Zhong Emperor and Luo Feng looked like they couldn't do anything to Ash Gold Emperor, it was like 3 ants fighting against an elephant. Rumble, endless thunder with Ash Gold Emperor as the center, emanating throughout the entire treasure room. Kill! Ash Gold Emperor wielded the thunder spear, igniting his immortal divine body, causing the hearts of Luo Feng and the others to tremble with energy ripples. This Ash Gold Emperor ignited his immortal divine body to end the battle quickly, using the fastest speed and lowest cost to kill us. Purple Zhong Emperor communicated to Luo Feng and Tiger Thorn Emperor, "Don't care so much whatever trump cards you have, just go all out." Ah! The Tiger Thorn King let out an angry and unwilling roar. He, who was already seriously injured and close to hibernating, was like an ant trying to shake a tree. He could only angrily ignite his immortal divine body and detonate it. In the midst of his angry and unwilling roar, the energy explosion instantly filled the entire treasure room. However, the power of this explosion was only 20 to 30% of the self-detonation of the Qiu Ka. Tiger Thorn Emperor fell. Idiot! Ash Gold Emperor paused for a moment, not caring about Tiger Thorn Emperor's actions at all. Yang! Purple Zhong Emperor roared anxiously, "Let's go all out." At this time, Purple Zhong Emperor's eyes were filled with madness. However, no matter how much he shouted for Luo Feng, he couldn't go all out. Because Luo Feng wasn't an undying, he couldn't ignite his immortal divine body. How could he go all out? Die! Ash Gold Emperor's eyes were filled with arrogance and coldness. "Human, you're really useless." Purple Zhong Emperor's eyes that were filled with fear and madness had all vanished, leaving only coldness. Suddenly, a mottled ancient purple bell appeared on his skin. On it were dense and mysterious words. At least Luo Feng didn't recognize these words at all. The bell emitted a heart-palpitating pressure. Hua! The bell that appeared on the surface of his scales suddenly grew, simultaneously flying up and swiftly expanding before fiercely covering them. The treasure trove room was only so big, Luo Feng and Ash Gold Emperor had nowhere to dodge, they were completely covered by the purple bell. The purple bell seemed to have existed for an eternity, just that powerful energy alone made Luo Feng's heart palpitate. Treasure, this is a true treasure. Back then when Dark Flame Emperor used the treasure his father gave him to go all out, the energy wasn't even stronger than this purple bell. This is definitely a treasure used by a universe knight. This bell was an ancient treasure, its power was boundless. Within the bell, Luo Feng, Ash Gold Emperor and Purple Zhong Emperor were all covered within. Actually, the entire bell's diameter was about 16 m, almost covering half of the treasure trove room. Purple Zhong Emperor. Ash Gold Emperor looked shocked at the distant Purple Zhong Emperor within the bell. Everyone says that I use the flaming bell for attack, and the purple bell shadow for defense. However, do any of you know that my true treasure is this mysterious ancient bell? The purple bell monarch sneered in his heart. At the same time, he sent a voice transmission and shouted, "Monarch Azure Gold, since you want to kill me, don't blame me for killing you. 2 peak stage king-ranked martial artists and 1 peak stage king-ranked martial artist have already perished under this ancient bell. Today you and that human will both die." "Human, you're so useless, you can die too." Once you're dead, that mysterious defensive treasure of yours will be mine. 2 transmissions resounded within Luo Feng and Ash Gold Emperor's minds. Following closely, Purple Zhong Emperor only took a step back and walked out of the bell. He had long refined this bell, and was able to absorb it into his body. Naturally he could easily pass through it. When he exited the ancient bell, he also placed the black crystal ball, the Fire God Origin crystal, that was worth over 10 billion mixed element units into the ancient bell. Not good. Ash Gold Emperor's expression changed. Trouble. Luo Feng saw the Fire God crystal too. At this time it had already exploded. Explode. Outside the bell, Purple Zhong Emperor laughed lightly. To kill Ash Gold Emperor, if he just relied on himself, even with this bell, he wouldn't be able to do so. Even though treasures were powerful, the increase in strength was limited. At most it had some special uses. Even if Luo Feng had the Wu Killer Wings, he couldn't say he could kill an ultimate emperor. Hence he had to use this Fire God crystal. This Fire God Origin crystal had 3 times the power of a peak Regis Godfiend's self-destruction. Logically speaking, it should only be able to injure King Greygold. But now, the situation was different. Such a powerful explosion was completely bound within the bell. Then, through the uniqueness of the bell itself, the shock wave formed by the explosion was formed into a beam. It was like a loudspeaker emitting sound wave. That explosive shock wave blasted in one direction, and under the control of the Purple Bell King, that attack directly hit Ash Gold Emperor. That would increase the explosion power of the Fire God crystal by 10 times. In this way, even a peak-conferred king-ranked expert would die. Unless this peak Regis-conferred martial artist also had a heaven-defying defensive armor like the Regis armor, or some other extremely valuable protective treasure like this ancient bell, he would not be able to do so. Before, the reason why Purple Zhong Emperor was fine after Night Chin Emperor's explosion and Scarlet Dragon's explosion was because of this purple bell. Ever since he had obtained this ancient bell, he had killed super experts and obtained a large amount of wealth to strengthen himself. He had also bought those incomparably expensive Fire God Origin crystals. Naturally, he had made a huge comeback. However, he had always kept a low profile. Anyone who had seen him use the purple bell had already died. After killing Ash Gold Emperor and that human, I'll be able to acquire another huge amount of wealth. Ash Gold Emperor has already acquired a few other warriors' treasures before, along with his own wealth. It's definitely not small. When that time comes, I'll buy 2 more Fire God crystals. Purple Zhong Emperor thought within, and that human, he's much weaker than me, but his defense is so shocking, he might even have a mysterious treasure similar to my bell. Purple Zhong Emperor was anticipating, die, all of you die, everything is mine. It's the last day of the month, if you don't vote it'll be useless. Brothers and sisters, vote for Tomato. I've finished updating 3 chapters today. As yesterday's 2nd chapter was late, Tomato will have to update 4 chapters tomorrow to make up for what I missed. I'll work hard to update 4 chapters tomorrow. Remember to vote for Tomato. Chapter 863. The 3 native powerhouses in the core control room of the altar watched everything that happened in the treasure room through the monitor. Kill each other. Good kill. Good kill. Die, all of you. Puera, Latimer, and Menbu were all very excited. They looked at the virtual projection in anticipation. As survivors of the disaster, they were instinctively hostile to the other alien races in the universe, especially those who participated in the foreign battlefield. They hated them even more, because their race was exterminated by the 4 peak races in order to open up a battlefield. Just because they wanted to open up a battlefield, they exterminated our race. They were filled with resentment, their hearts filled with hatred. But to the 4 peak races, it was like a few powerful lion herds wanting to open up a battlefield, and the rabbit herds that originally occupied the battlefield were casually dealt with. To lions, eating rabbits and trampling ants to death was a very normal thing. But to rabbits and ants, lions were their greatest enemies. Between the different races, there was no such thing as pity. Die, all of you, die. Puera, Latimer, and Menbu's eyes were filled with passion as they watched everything unfold. Its entire body was purple, appearing mottled and ancient. The dense and mysterious characters on the body of the bell also faintly emitted a powerful aura. Rumble, a terrifying and violent sound rang out from within the ancient bell. Although the explosive energy of the fire god origin crystal was bound in one direction, it still formed a powerful explosive impact on the entire bell. Boom! Through the bell, there was still an invisible shock wave spreading out. Bang bang bang! It directly struck the skinny and ferocious purple Bell King, who was standing outside the ancient bell. Even though it was weakened by 90% by the bell, the impact still caused Purple Bell King's body to shatter, but it instantly condensed back into one. He grinned excitedly, his eyes filled with anticipation. King Ageless Gold Human, you can all die, the treasures are mine. Everything is mine. Ah! A powerful and angry roar came from King Grayscale's throat, his eyes filled with anger. Purple Bell King! King Grayscale's eyes were about to split open. Bang! The ancient bell rumbled, and the terrifying energy produced by the explosion of the fire god origin crystal was swept up by the ancient bell, compressed, and controlled to bombard in one direction, the direction of King Ageless. King Grayscale had no way of dodging the attack at such a close range. He was instantly hit by the terrifying attack. Originally, they were going to explode in all directions, but now they were forcefully bound in one direction, and the power increased by at least 10 times. It was already 3 times stronger than a peak king-ranked Godfiend's self-destruction. Now it was 10 times stronger. Rumble, Song Jin Emperor's entire body was filled with a powerful energy. Before, he wanted to quickly finish off Purple Bell Emperor and Luo Feng. He had already ignited 3% of his undying body. However, he didn't have the time to kill the other warriors before he was trapped within the bell. With his Emperor's pinnacle strength and igniting his body, he was actually able to withstand the explosion for a moment. But it was useless. It was only for a moment. In terms of the quality of the energy, the power of King Greygold's immortal body was almost the same as the attack from the ancient bell. However, in terms of quantity, King Greygold had only ignited 3% of his immortal body's energy, and it was instantly used up. The moment he was attacked, he could feel the attack consume his burning, undying power. King Greygold understood. It's over. I will definitely die. My disciples. My teachers. I Koa Tuale Meng Shav goodbye. I hope in the distant future, I can revive and see you all again. A trace of sadness flashed through King Ageless Gold's eyes, followed by endless madness. He roared in his heart, Purple Bell King, kill me? You can die with me. Explode. King Greygold chose to self-destruct at the last moment. Normal attacks, when a fire god origin crystal explodes to kill an emperor, the energy would be mutually destroyed, and most of the energy would be used up. Just like back then when King Greygold destroyed 50% of Night King's immortal body, this was a form of destruction. There wouldn't be much of a commotion. However, if he chose to self-destruct instead of resisting or destroying each other, just like how Night King's self-destruction caused a huge commotion, if he self-destructed, it would be equivalent to King Greygold turning into a burning fire god origin crystal. Boom! The fire god origin crystal surged with energy. Boom! King Greygold's crazy self-destruction was even more terrifying. It was like 2 fire god origin crystals exploding at the same time, the power frightening. Outside the ancient bell. No! Purple Bell King's expression changed drastically. He had been controlling the energy of the fire god origin crystal through the ancient bell, restraining it in one direction. Naturally, He could clearly feel the wild energy from the explosion rising. Once he set it, he couldn't restrain it or control it. This energy would blast in all directions. Even if the bell's obstruction was reduced by 90%, the remaining 10% was enough to completely destroy a peak emperor like him. After all, this was a peak emperor exploding with a fire god origin crystal. Restrain. Restrain. All in one direction, all in one direction. In the face of death, Purple Bell King desperately tried to control the ancient bell. He wanted to restrain the energy of King Grayscale's self-destruction, just like the energy produced by the explosion of the fire god origin crystal, and blast it downwards. Restraining one direction would cause the direction to be attacked, and the attack power would be especially terrifying. The other directions would be much weaker as well. This way, the impact through the bell would be much weaker. However, it was clear that restraining and controlling such terrifying energy was very difficult even with the help of the ancient bell. Restrain. Purple Bell King's entire body burned with undying god power, his eyes filled with madness. Hua Hua, the burning undying god power was like a raging flood that poured out and was absorbed by the purple bell. With the help of this burning undying god power, the purple bell's power increased greatly, forcefully restraining King Greygold's self-destruction in the same direction as the fire god origin crystal's energy. The two energies converged. One direction. Straight down. Boom! This energy bombarded the ground of the treasure room, which was also the area covered by the bell. The defense of the treasure room's walls and ground was indeed very strong. Even a peak emperor's self-destruction could withstand it. One had to know that this was already the power of an ordinary attack from a universe paragon. However, a peak emperor's self-destruction, after passing through the ancient bell's restraints and blasting in one direction, its power was increased tenfold. This caused the ground to instantly suffer an impact that was over 100 times stronger. Pung pung pung, the treasure room's metal floor was forcibly torn apart, and the treasure chest was located in the center of the floor. Naturally, it was also enveloped by the bell. When the metal floor was completely torn apart, the 12 chains connected to the floor and the treasure chest bound by the chains were clearly very strong. In the face of such an attack, the 12 chains and the treasure chest withstood it without being damaged. Rip, the metal floor was blasted apart. The defense of the other areas of the altar below the treasure room was much weaker. Back then, Night King's self-destruction with 50% of his undying body had turned the surrounding 60 kilometers into ruins. At this moment, the attack was much stronger, and it was restricted in one direction. Rumble, a thick shockwave that was visible to the naked eye directly rushed downwards. The shards on the metal floor were mixed with the 12 chains and treasure chests. There were also a lot of treasures released from the world ring under such a terrifying bombardment. Many treasures were also destroyed. There were even more valuable treasures that were blasted downwards along with the metal shards, chains, and treasure chests. In one breath, a 6,000 kilometers deep hole was blasted open. The shockwave only dissipated when everything within the 6,000 kilometers area was blasted to smithereens. Pale Gold Emperor was in a tragic state. However, Luo Feng wasn't in a good state either. Back then, the Fire God Origin Crystal's explosion was specifically targeted at Pale Gold Emperor. Only a little of the shockwave was released to Luo Feng. It wasn't much of a threat to him, he could still take it. However, following that, Pale Gold Emperor self-destructed. This was troublesome. Even though Purple Bell Emperor used all his strength to restrict it, the energy that was released was much stronger. Luo Feng was hit by about 30% to 50% of the Emperor's self-destruction. Dodge! The moment Pale Gold Emperor self-destructed, Luo Feng, who was hiding in a corner of the bell, knew something was wrong. He immediately kept his earth body in his internal world. It wasn't as troublesome as using the world ring to store items. Luo Feng's 3 bodies could instantly switch and enter the internal world. Because the internal world nurtured them, it was the core of the three bodies. Even though he instantly hid in the internal world, the world ring that stored the core was still hidden within the Wu killer wings. The wings had long been refined by Luo Feng and could be absorbed into his body. His body's muscles and the wings had completely fused together. That world ring could fuse with his muscles too. Naturally, he could store the world ring within the wings. So, that was the safest. Rumble, the silver Wu killer wings with the world ring within was blasted downwards. Along with the large amounts of treasures and shards, they all flew downwards swiftly. Actually, just the world ring alone was specially made by Luo Feng to make it as strong as possible. Just the shockwave alone wouldn't cause it to shatter. However, Luo Feng didn't dare gamble. Hence, he kept it within the wings. Killing Wu's wings wrapped around the world ring, the chains, the treasure chest, the metal fragments, and the countless treasures released by King Greygold's shattered world ring. The treasures of the previous king-titled powerhouses, including King Greygold's own wealth, were all blasted away. It's all mine. It's all mine. While the entire floor was being blasted apart, Purple Zhong Emperor, who was burning his undying body to stop Pale Gold Emperor's self-destruction, had already used up 26% of his undying body. His losses were huge. Worth it. Worth it, worth it. All of the Emperor's treasures, Pale Gold Emperor's countless years of accumulation, that human's powerful defensive treasure, and that chained treasure chest, everything is mine. Losing the undying body, it's worth it. Worth it. Even though Purple Zhong Emperor was shocked by the floor being blasted apart, he quickly rushed downwards towards the large amounts of treasures. Chapter 864. The path created by the explosion was a straight line downwards. Its diameter was only that big. Purring! 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 And those large amounts of treasures couldn't possibly be parallel to the wall. Hence, they were like glass beads smashing into the wall, cracking sounds could be heard. All sorts of treasures smashed into the wall and then rebounded diagonally to the other side, then rebounded diagonally again. It was a complete mess. However, the Purple Bell King's eyes were blazing with excitement and excitement. A normal person, if they saw large amounts of gold rolling around on the street, covering the entire street, even though it was a mess, they would still be excited. They are all mine, mine. Ha ha ha. Later, I will buy 2 more Fire God Origin crystals. Then I will buy the slots to study the Fire Bell God Mountain, and large amounts of treasures that can aid in recovering the undying God body, and also, Purple Bell King hurriedly flew downwards, swiftly collecting the large amounts of treasures. In his heart, he was thinking about what to do in the future. There were simply too many treasures in the universe. All sorts of treasures. Like Purple Bell King, treasures that could attract the attention of the universe paragons. Like Wu Yu treasures that could make the universe paragons go crazy. Or even higher, treasures that were frequently used by the universe lords. There were also all sorts of items like general armor, king armor, and other items with peculiar usage conditions. Anyway, countless of them. However, treasures could only be obtained by venturing into the universe's secret regions. They required experts to fight for them, and large amounts of wealth were needed to purchase them. Ha ha ha, satisfying, satisfying. Too satisfying. Purple Bell King swooped downwards, collecting all the treasures he had found. So, Wu Yu continued to descend. Beside it was the chain treasure chest and large amounts of other treasures. I actually had such fortune, haha. Beside Wu Yu, a metal shard appeared. It was the G-grade metal shard that the Masha clansman had transformed into. Of course, it only replicated the aura, but the insides were very empty. It was pretty but not practical. After all, the Masha clansman was unable to turn its insides into G-grade metal. So, sure, Wu's wings had disappeared, having been absorbed into the inner world. As for the world ring, it had fused with the metal fragment of the Devil Kill. Since it was impossible to detect it in the altar, how could the Purple Bell King, who was diving down from the sky, Not notice it at all? This chained treasure chest is also mine. Whoosh! The treasure chest, which was bound by 12 chains and still had some metal fragments attached to it, also disappeared at this moment. King Greygold's lightning spear? TSK, it's actually not damaged. It's mine too. What is this? Spatial ring? World ring? It seems that King Greygold's broken world ring also contains some interspatial rings. World rings, I'll take them too. Tisk tisk. This vessel that stores the purple sedan divine tree marrow is really sturdy. It didn't break even after hitting the wall so many times. I'll keep it. Wow, this is worth 1 billion mixed element unit. I'll take it too. Return. Withdraw. Return. I'll take it. The Masha clansman became a metal shard, wantonly collecting large amounts of treasures, almost like gold falling from the sky. Luo Feng didn't reject anything, however much there was. As for Purple Bell King, who was diving down from the sky, he was also collecting a large number of treasures. One of them was below while the other was high up in the sky. Both of them were collecting treasures. Where's that chained treasure chest? Purple Bell King, who was diving down, creased his eyebrows. Did it collide with the wall and fall into some pathway? This attack had created a 6,000 kilometers pathway. Naturally, it was connected to the altar's own pathways and cabins. Hence, some of the treasures had fallen into the pathways and pathways. The chained treasure chest, I have to find it. I'm afraid even if all the other treasures were added up, they wouldn't be as valuable as the chest. And that human. I wonder what the human's treasure is. Purple Bell King thought within. Back when King Greygold exploded, large amounts of treasures were blasted away. Amongst them were the silver wings. Under the countless treasures, Purple Bell King couldn't even tell which one belonged to the human Luo Feng. I'll first find the altar's treasure chest. This is the most expensive. As long as I get it back, naturally there'll be a way to open it. The Purple Bell King began to search. While searching, he would occasionally find some treasures. He would also directly put them away. However, he would directly put these treasures into a spatial ring. The Purple Bell King had a great encounter. He had experienced it before. He knew of some special life forms in the universe. From the outside, one couldn't tell they were life forms. However, if he kept them in his space ring, that would be bad. Hence, he would keep some of the more expensive treasures in his space ring. No matter how small it is, it's still meat. This is after all a G-grade metal, I'll keep it too. Purple Bell King kept the various G-grade metal shards too. These metals were very expensive too. Any one of them could make a normal undying go bankrupt. Adding them up, they were worth over 100 million mixed element. Chain treasure chest? Where is this chain treasure chest? Where is it? Purple Bell King searched anxiously. However, he couldn't find it. What's going on? Which pathway did I fall into? Purple Bell King was anxious. Amongst the treasures, the altar's treasure chest was the one he valued the most. However, he couldn't find it. Shio. Purple Bell King kept another shard. Pring. The spatial ring automatically expelled the metal shard, directly expelling it. What's going on? Purple Bell King was shocked. He turned fiercely to look at the shard. Ha ha ha, a silhouette appeared in mid-air. It was the silver-winged human Luo Feng. The shard landed in Luo Feng's hands. The world ring immediately melted into his skin. As for the Masha clansman, it returned to the internal world. You. Purple Bell King's cold eyes stared wide and round. He stared hard at the silhouette before him. His silver armor and wings floated in mid-air. They gently flapped. Luo Feng smiled at Purple Bell King and said softly, "Purple Bell King, thank you." The 3 native experts in the core control room of the altar had been monitoring everything from the beginning to the end. It was just that the previous wave of violent bombardment had torn apart the treasure room, destroyed layer after layer of cabins, and destroyed a large number of buildings in the altar. There was a moment of chaos in the monitoring, but it soon became clear. They could clearly see Purple Bell King diving down to collect the treasures. They also noticed the treasures at the lower levels strangely vanished one by one. When Luo Feng finally appeared, they were all shocked. It's that human. He actually didn't die. Even the most powerful outsider died, but he didn't. No wonder, the clan elder said. That some of the most powerful experts of the 4 peak races have all sorts of treasures and techniques, and that we can't get our revenge. It really is terrifying. Even the most powerful outsider, someone as powerful as that, died. This human was only an emperor level before, yet he's still able to live until now. Pu Ai, Latimer and Menbu couldn't help but be shocked. The final winner of this treasure trove battle seemed to be that human. He's the biggest winner. Our treasure trove room's treasures have fallen into his hands too. The inheritance room has countless technique. However, this treasure trove room has the most useful treasures to these alien races. The 3 aboriginals were filled with regret. Especially the God Lord Pu Ai. The moment the old dragon Chi Ka died, the God Lord Pu Ai naturally became the highest leader of his race. He too felt the pressure from the survival of his race. Even if the sky fell, there would always be a tall one to hold it up. Hence, the pressure from the survival of the race was usually felt by the strongest. I didn't expect their battle to destroy the treasure trove room. The God Lord Pu Ai shook his head and sighed. I originally wanted to wait for their god country to teleport away. However, now that the treasure trove room has been destroyed and the chained treasure chest has fallen into their hands, even the altar has been blasted through 6,000 kilometers. The entire altar's engraving structure has been largely destroyed. It's only left with 10% to 20% of its power. Let's go back. The God Lord Pu Ai looked at Latimer and Menbu. The treasure trove room's chained treasure chest has been taken by the alien races. The most precious part of the altar is the engravings that the Reverend's sect set up. However, under the large-scale destruction, the effects are very weak. The altar is now useless. Menbu and Latimer both nodded. At least we've obtained the race's inheritance. The God Lord Pu Ai said softly, with the inheritance, the race will have a future. Earth had long recognized the importance of knowledge and culture. And to the trillions of races in the universe, every race's unique training techniques that countless warriors have accumulated over countless years are the most important part of the race's inheritance. When a race's strongest warriors all die, the few weak undyings that survived, only those undyings that survived remembered the techniques. They were unable to strengthen the race. Without the countless techniques in the river of time, they might very well be destroyed. As for becoming strong, there was almost no chance of them rising up. With the race's techniques, they had hope of becoming strong. Altar, self-destruct. The God Lord Pu Ai ordered, "You will leave with me." "Yes, Master." Within the vast and ancient God country, the God Lord Pu Ai, Latimer and Menbu appeared out of nowhere. "God Lord, where's the elder? Why hasn't he returned?" the other titled kings asked. Latimer, Menbu and the God Lord Pu Ai all had a trace of sadness in their eyes. The God Lord Pu Ai pointed at the space passage. "Collapse?" The entire space passage immediately began to collapse. "The elder for the race, he has fallen," the God Lord Pu Ai said softly. The other titled kings were stunned. "But the elder's fall has brought our race's inheritance," the God Lord Pu Ai roared. "The race's countless techniques from before the calamity, the ones that are suitable for our race, we've already brought them all back. With the race's inheritance, our race will definitely grow stronger and rise once more." Rise. 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 These titled kings were filled with sadness for the elder's fall, but at the same time they had a burning belief. They were filled with hope for the future. The race rise. Chapter 865. The God Lord Pu Ai and the others destroyed the space tunnel. They didn't care about what happened within the altar anymore, they only knew to focus on nurturing the next generation of warriors. And within the altar, Purple Zhong Emperor's body was small and skinny, his expression was ferocious. His body had a purple bell silhouette, a formless pressure emanated, and he stared hard at the silhouette before him. Luo Feng's wings, however, gently flapped, smiling as he looked at Purple Zhong Emperor. In terms of body size, amongst the trillions of races in the vast universe, Luo Feng's body size was indeed average, however this Purple Zhong Emperor was only 1.6 tall and skinny. This gave Luo Feng an advantage. I underestimated you, Purple Zhong Emperor said hoarsely. I too didn't expect you to be so cunning. Luo Feng said softly. The treasures were originally mine, I didn't expect you to get them in the end. I'm afraid you've snatched quite a few treasures after Ash Gold Emperor's death. The Purple Bell King's claws that were covered in scales clenched tightly. It was obvious that he was already burning with rage. Anyone who had the chance to obtain a street full of gold ingots, but in the end, he only obtained a truckload of gold ingots, and was taken away by his opponent 100 times over. Originally yours? Luo Feng laughed mockingly. Within, there's Tiger Thorn Emperor, Night Chin Emperor, Ice Blade, and also Ash Gold Emperor's treasures. This altar treasure trove originally belonged to the aboriginals of Yanji continent. Which one is yours? In the battle, I won, naturally it's mine. Purple Zhong Emperor snorted coldly. In the battle, one after another fell, only 2 were left alive. Luo Feng laughed softly. In this huge battle, whoever survives is the victor, and I'm the true victor. Cunning. Purple Zhong Emperor gritted his teeth. He ignited his undying body, and used a fire god origin crystal to destroy Ash Gold Emperor. Finally, a large portion of the treasures fell into Luo Feng's hands. You aren't bad either. First, you hid your strength, you clearly had the strength to deal with me, yet you burned 3% of your undying body to hide. Let that strongest king Greygold fight the rest of us. Nightstar King, Iceblade King, Tiger Thorn King, and you even shouted at the very last moment, telling me to fight with my life on the line. Obviously you're planning for the 4 of us to expend his energy before killing him. Luo Feng said softly. In terms of cunning and ruthlessness, how can I compare to you? It's just that I'm more patient. Ga. The Purple Bell King let out an ear-piercing laugh. Well said. In terms of methods, I surpass you. It is only your life-preserving and concealing methods that are stronger than mine. However, the final treasure is still mine. Purple Bell Emperor's voice reverberated within the pathway. A purple bell expanded fiercely and headed straight for Luo Feng. Luo Feng's wings shook fiercely the moment the Purple Bell Emperor moved, unleashing his 3 combos to travel through universe. Xiao! His speed skyrocketed in an instant, whistling through the air as he charged into a winding passageway at the side, quickly escaping along the passageway. Don't even think about escaping. The Purple Bell King's body had a faint shadow of a bell as he chased after it with all his might. Shwa! Shwa! The distance between the 2 swiftly grew. Even the Emperor-level warrior Ash Gold Emperor could only rely on other methods to affect Luo Feng's speed in such a winding passageway. Much less the much weaker Purple Bell Emperor. He had no way to stop Luo Feng at all. In an instant, the distance was completely widened to the point where he couldn't even be seen. The naked eye couldn't see and couldn't detect. Bastard! Purple Bell Emperor's eyes were filled with rage and unwillingness. I'll definitely kill you, definitely. Luo Feng had acquired a large portion of the treasures this time, and he also knew of Purple Bell Emperor's biggest secret, that mysterious ancient bell. These 2 points made Purple Bell Emperor want to kill Luo Feng. No matter what, I have to kill him. A powerful trump card is a hidden trump card. The moment all the warriors know I have this ancient bell, they'll be on guard against me. And some absolute beings may very well attack me and steal my treasure. I have to kill him quickly. Chase. Purple Bell Emperor chased relentlessly from behind. He obviously couldn't see Luo Feng, but he could only use his fastest speed to rush out of the altar. Luo Feng flew out of the pathway to the core region, passing through the normal residential region and finally through the entrance of the altar, finally leaving the altar. "I'm out." Luo Feng looked at the large amounts of rock and dirt around him, revealing a smile. "I've been chased too badly. I can't even unleash my full strength in the altar, it's too stifling. That pathway is at most 1 kilometer wide. The golden horned beast's huge body has probably been squeezed into a biscuit." Luo Feng grinned, immediately changing his body. In less than half a second, a huge creature appeared in the dirt. Its body was over 100 kilometers long, and it was completely golden. Its claws were incomparably thick, and it had a pair of spread golden wings. Its eyes were dark golden in color. Howl, its nostrils spat out hot air. "After acquiring the armor, I've never had a true battle. Purple Bell Emperor, this is the first time." The golden horned beast was entrenched in the endless dirt. The dirt was easily pushed aside. To the powerful golden horned beast, this thick dirt was no different from Earth's air resistance to humans. The golden horned beast was entrenched there, staring from above, almost like a giant staring at an ant's nest, waiting for the ant to come out. "This human's strength is weaker, he can't teleport. The moment he reaches the altar and I discover him, he won't be able to escape. I can teleport." "Human, you can't escape." Purple Bell Emperor became a beam of light, finally flying out of the altar. So, the moment he flew out, Purple Bell Emperor was filled with killing intent, madly releasing his undying energy, wanting to search in all directions, simultaneously using his scanning device and releasing his law domain. Anyways, Purple Bell Emperor was using all his methods, wanting to find the human Yang at the first moment. Purple Bell Emperor looked shocked at the huge being before him, raising his neck and looking at the huge being before him. The golden horned beast was already over 80 kilometers in height. Comparing the two, it was like a normal human looking up at a monster that was over 10 times taller than the Himalayas. "What a huge fellow! Where did this monster come from? Demon race? Space beast?" Purple Bell Emperor was curious. "Howl." The golden horned beast had been squatting there, waiting silently. The moment it saw Purple Bell Emperor appear, it didn't hesitate to wave its right claw. This right claw, because of the Beast God transformation and Blood River energy transformation, was extremely thick. Compared to a normal golden horned beast's right claw, it was almost twice as thick. That huge blade-like claw was extremely vicious. Wha! One claw struck out. The space collapsed, dirt and dust were instantly sucked into the space vortex. The golden horned beast and Purple Bell Emperor too entered the space crevice. Ping, one was purely waiting, the other was shocked. Maybe he wanted to fight head-on and see the strength of the beast before him. Anyways, at such a close distance, this fierce claw directly slammed into Purple Bell Emperor's body. Rumble, within the space crevice, within the endless space vortex, Purple Bell Emperor stabilized his body. Howl, the golden horned beast flew over, pressing down. "What a terrifying beast! It's actually an Emperor Pinnacle." Purple Bell Emperor was shocked. What? The golden horned beast's body was huge, and it had the armor on its body. With a flap of its wings, its speed was many times faster than the Earth body. The endless sea of fire formed by the 3 fire bells that the Purple Bell King controlled seemed to stagger a little before it was broken through by a dazzling golden river. A speed even more terrifying than that human Yang. Purple Bell Emperor had only clashed twice before completely giving up. "Even at my peak, I can't gain any advantage against this beast. And within the altar, my undying body has been greatly damaged. My strength is less than half." Purple Bell Emperor was anxious and furious. He didn't want to fight this beast. He really wanted to find Luo Feng. What's going on? Where did that human escape to? Why did a monster suddenly appear? That's right. This monster is similar to the legendary Silver Wing King. Its body size, crown on its head, thick claws, wings. The only difference is that its color has changed. Previously, it was completely silver, but now it's completely golden. Changing the color is easy, it should be that Silver Wing Emperor. Silver Wing Emperor belongs to the human camp. That means Yang is a human. He could very well have invited a friend. Bastard. It's indeed the worst situation I guessed. The moment he left the altar, he invited a warrior from the same camp. This golden beast is probably the earliest to arrive. There could very well be other warriors coming. Purple Bell Emperor thought about this. Even though he wasn't satisfied, he could only choose to leave. Schwa. Teleportation, immediately vanishing into thin air. After Purple Bell Emperor vanished, only then did the golden horned beast disappear, and the earth body appeared. Luo Feng nodded. Without a doubt, the golden horned beast has the strength of an emperor pinnacle. Even though it's lacking in origin law comprehension, the universe origin law compatibility has increased by 10 times, and the creation of my own pinnacle technique has made up for this weakness, allowing me to truly have the strength of an emperor pinnacle. However, its weakness is obvious too. True emperor-ranked peak stage experts are either good at teleportation or at stopping time. In short, they usually have powerful laws and abilities. Luo Feng thought to himself, looks like I have to improve further. I'm still not strong enough. The golden horned beast's strength was very strong, just that it couldn't teleport or use time pause. This teleportation and time pause were both life-saving techniques for training the space and time laws respectively. Luo Feng lacked this ultimate technique. However, he had the additional life-saving techniques from the Wu Yu wings and the King armor. So, Luo Feng became a silver light and swiftly left the space crevice, returning to the Sacrifice Yen continent, sitting in a universe ship and maintaining sublight speed in the skies above the continent in the distant ice and snow skies of the Sacrifice Yen continent. Human. Purple Bell Emperor, who was covered in scales and had a ferocious expression, clenched his fists tightly. His powerful energy caused the surrounding space to explode. The powerful shock waves caused the 10,000 kilometers ice and snow lands below to form a hurricane, stealing the large amounts of treasures that should have belonged to me, and the altar's treasures. And knowing my secret, I will definitely kill you. Purple Bell Emperor's eyes gleamed coldly, gleaming fiercely, almost as though he was thinking of a plan to deal with Luo Feng. P.S. Third chapter here, tomato, continue writing the fourth chapter. Chapter 866. A black flying saucer was flying above Yen-Ji continent. Luo Feng was in the control room holding 2 cups of fruit wine. Night Emperor, Tiger Thorn Emperor. Even though I want to save you, I'm powerless. Luo Feng said softly. The universe is dangerous. The strong fall and the stronger survive. I hope to see you again in the distant future. Teacher True Yen Emperor and Primal Chaos City Leader Teacher both told me that the universe is filled with danger and I have to be careful. Back then, the master of Yunemo planet, Teacher Hu Yenbo, asked Babata to leave me with the most important sentence, which is to make me respect the universe and never be arrogant. Luo Feng sighed softly. This is the experience gained from countless setbacks. I originally thought Emperor Pinnacle warriors would be absolutely safe on Yen-Ji continent. I originally thought the pinnacle of Emperor-level warriors would be absolutely safe in the alien battlefield. I originally thought with teleportation it would be hard to fall. But the truth is, in just one altar on Yen-Ji continent, Night Emperor, Tiger Thorn Emperor, Ice Blade, Ash Gold Emperor, they all fell. Even the pinnacle of Emperor-level warriors fell. Luo Feng sighed. And Ash Gold Emperor died to someone weaker than him, Purple Bell Emperor. I really can't be careless. The outcome of the battle depended on many factors. The altar's special environment made it impossible for everyone to teleport, scan etc., which resulted in such huge losses. If they fought in the sky of Yenji continent, Ash Gold Emperor's time laws wouldn't be able to stop those experts who were good at teleportation from escaping. If they couldn't beat them, they would have escaped long ago. What can I do? This is the universe, and this is just a small altar on Yenji continent. Compared to the countless universe secret regions and countless dangerous places, who knows how much more dangerous it is? Luo Feng thought. No matter what, you have to be cautious and never be arrogant. If you can get such treasures, the geniuses of the other races might also get treasures, or even more powerful ones. In this battle, 4 Emperor-level warriors had fallen. What a tragedy! This also woke Luo Feng up. He didn't dare to be too arrogant anymore. Before, he got the Wu Killer Wings, Emperor Armor and General Armor. Luo Feng was too arrogant and confident. Just like what the high and mighty Primal Chaos City leader had determined, actually from his point of view, Luo Feng's fortune was very ordinary. The Royal Armor and General Armor were just external forces. Once Luo Feng's own strength increases, their effects would be much smaller. Request. Luo Feng frowned. Virtual Universe, Hong Meng City, within a bar, Luo Feng was drinking and chatting with another human in a corner. Tianchen, why are you looking for me so urgently? Luo Feng looked at the human before him. This was one of the many good friends he had made over the years, Tianchen Emperor. Tianchen Emperor and Night Chen Emperor grew up in the same generation. They were both core disciples of the Battle-Axe Colosseum. The two of them had always been competing, and through that, they developed a deep friendship. Yang, the Night Star King, is dead. Tianchen Emperor's eyebrows were very long, his entire being was very sharp, sighing softly. Before he died, he left me a message, saying that he was killed by the foreign-raced Songjin Emperor. He died on the Yenji continent, and there were a total of 3 Emperor-level warriors there, including him. You were there too, and you were his good friend. Do you know the details? Right, he's dead. He died at the hands of Songjin Emperor. Luo Feng sighed softly. Finally, he was forced to self-destruct by Songjin Emperor. Songjin Emperor, who? Tianchen Emperor asked. Even though Songjin Emperor was rather famous on the Yenji continent, he was after all a foreign race. A warrior from the automaton camp. Of course Tianchen Emperor didn't know him. Even within the Hong Meng Alliance, there were over 3 million Emperor-level warriors. Tianchen Emperor only knew a portion of them. He didn't know many of them. Songjin Emperor is dead too, Luo Feng said. Tianchen Emperor was shocked, after which he nodded. Whatever, roaming the universe, walking the line between life and death. Death is inevitable. Come, drink with me. All right. Luo Feng drank with Tianchen Emperor. Regarding this matter, Luo Feng didn't want to say too much. His grudge with Purple Zhong Emperor was destined to end one day. He didn't want Tianchen Emperor to get involved. Whether it was himself or Purple Zhong Emperor, they both had treasures on them. Their own survival abilities were strong. And even though Purple Zhong Emperor didn't get the altar treasure, other than the chain treasure chest, the large amount of treasures, Purple Zhong Emperor still got close to half. That large amount of treasures represented a huge amount of wealth. Purple Zhong Emperor could totally buy Fire God origin crystals and other treasures to raise his strength. The next battle will probably be even more dangerous. Purple Zhong Emperor is after all someone who has killed an Emperor-level warrior before. Luo Feng didn't dare to be careless. He didn't know. Purple Zhong Emperor, including Songjin Emperor, had already killed 2 Emperor-level warriors before. I have to think of a way to deal with Purple Zhong Emperor. That Purple Zhong Emperor treated Luo Feng as an opponent, thinking of ways to kill him. Luo Feng too was thinking of ways to deal with Purple Zhong Emperor. Within the world of the World Ring, the Masha clansman and the golden horned beast both appeared. The altar treasure chest. Black-clothed Luo Feng looked in the distance, at the large amount of treasures in the center, the chain treasure chest. All the other treasures added together are far from being comparable to this chained treasure chest. Black-clothed Luo Feng thought, just the protection alone costs a few 100 million mixed elements, the treasures within must be shocking. Let's try and see if I can use the Masha clansman to transform into a native of the Sacrifice Flame continent and trick the censors to open the chest. If it doesn't work, then I'll have to make a trip back to Primal Universe Primal Chaos City to meet the Primal Chaos City teacher and get him to help open it. This chain treasure chest, Luo Feng estimated, even true Yen teacher would have a hard time opening it. However, to the Primal Chaos City leader, it would definitely be easy. Even though he didn't want to trouble his teacher, for the sake of the altar treasure, it was worth it. To the Primal Chaos City teacher, it was just a matter of opening it. Let's try. Transform. Black-clothed Luo Feng immediately transformed into a flow of energy and transformed into a 6-armed Sacrifice Flame continent native. Within the residential area of the altar, there were some remains. Those were the bones of Sector Lord Pinnacle warriors of the Sacrifice Flame continent. The toughest part of the body was the bones. Just like one of the disciples of the Yun Mo planet master Hu Yen Bo, even after tens of thousands of years, his golden bones were still perfectly intact. Sector Lord Pinnacle, their bodies were naturally strong, and their bones were the strongest. Compared to an Undying's body, a Sector Lord's bones were very close, hence when the muscles decayed, the bones would still exist for a very long time. Luo Feng had the thought of changing to trick the chest. Naturally he brought along some of the bones, borrowing the genes and directly mimicking the bones and genes of the Aboriginals, transforming them. Natural ability. Copy. The Masha Sacrifice Flame tribe members' aura changed, becoming Chiochi Kas. After all, the living Sacrifice Flame tribe warriors Luo Feng had only seen Chiochi Ka. As for the fallen Aboriginals, copying the energy of the dead, whether it was effective or not, Luo Feng wasn't sure. He felt it wasn't as effective as copying the living. Message Talisman. The Masha Sacrifice Flame tribe member flipped his hand and took out a message talisman. Within it was Luo Feng's spirit imprint. The 3 great bodies, their spirit imprints were all the same. Naturally they recognized him as its owner. The message talisman immediately entered his body. Everything settled. Genes, energy, message talisman, I have it all. I just don't know if I can open this chest. Demon Killer Luo Feng walked to the chain chest. The 12 chains were still connected to some metal shards, all binding the chest. On it there was a mysterious sacrificial engraving. Demon Killer Luo Feng took a deep breath. He extended his right hand and gently rubbed the chest. The system within the chest began to inspect. It has to succeed, it has to succeed. Demon Killer Luo Feng was nervous within. He prayed silently, even though he could get the Primal Chaos City leader to help. Within his heart, if he didn't have to ask his teacher, he definitely wouldn't. He had to rely on himself for everything. If he really had no choice, he couldn't just waste such a treasure trove. It wouldn't be too late to ask later. This chest sensory system, I wonder how advanced it is. I hope it can be opened. Actually, the sensory system wasn't as exaggerated as Luo Feng thought it would be. It only detected 2 things. One was the message talisman, the other was life energy. As for the gene structure, different life forms indeed had different gene structures. However, harvesting the genes, there were many ways to deceive. The life energy, however, was different. Different life forms had different energies. Different races had completely different energies. Humans, even though they all had different energies. However, the entire human race, their energies were considered similar, belonging to the same type. Just like humans and Bug Clan, their energies were obviously worlds apart, and their life energies were something that couldn't be imitated, other than the extremely few special races in the universe that had their natural abilities. What were natural abilities? Natural abilities were special abilities bestowed by the universe. Some couldn't be trained at all. Life energy confirmed. Message talisman confirmed. The chest's originally locked lid automatically opened. Ha ha ha! Demon killer Luo Feng, who was anxiously waiting, immediately revealed a smile, immediately opening the chest. Within the chest there were 3 world rings. Scanning with his world energy, these 3 rings were ownerless. Let's look at them one by one. Luo Feng picked up the 3 world rings and began to inspect them. His world energy seeped into the first world ring. The world within this ring was vast and boundless. One could only see many metallic mountains, countless rare liquids forming lakes, E-grade ships. It was densely packed like a swarm of locusts. There was a sea of items. Damn. This. Luo Feng was completely shocked. Luo Feng picked up the 2nd and 3rd world rings to check. My god. This time we've really struck it rich. The race's treasure, even back when the natives of the Yenji continent were at their strongest, this treasure should have taken up quite a bit of their wealth. Luo Feng was completely shocked by this huge amount of treasure. He didn't know that back then the few knights knew it was hard for them to survive, so they divided all of their treasures into the 100 true inheritance pagodas. This was the Yenji continent's natives, 1% of their entire race's wealth. August ended, we obtained 1st place in the monthly vote. Thank you brothers for your support. Because of your support, Tomato is full of fighting spirit and energy. Even though there was an annual meeting this month, the promise was still fulfilled. Today's 4 chapters were finished, the promise to update was fulfilled. The new month had arrived. The competition at the start of the month was fierce. Tomato needed everyone's votes too. Everyone give your votes to Tomato. Chapter 867. The huge amount of treasures left behind by the aboriginals of the continent was simply too shocking. My god! This is really... Luo Feng blinked, his entire body was boiling. We've struck it rich, we've really struck it rich. No wonder Songjin Emperor, Purple Bell Emperor and the others all fought so hard for the treasures. Even Night Chin Emperor and Tiger Thorn Emperor were filled with desire. Looks like they've seen more than me, they know how shocking the treasures are. It's not just shocking. That's crazy. Luo Feng muttered to himself. Each of the 3 world rings had different levels of treasures, and every one of them had a message. Luo Feng flipped his hand, and 3 pieces of metal appeared out of thin air. The pieces of metal were engraved with tiny characters. They were all written in the language of the natives of the Yenji continent, and they described the contents of the treasure. Surviving clansmen, within this world ring are treasures for sector lords, domain lords, universe levels, star levels and star traveler levels. Even though many of the items are cheap, there are many of them, filling the entire world with countless items. Adding them up, it's a huge amount of wealth. You have to use them carefully. You have to consider that the clan needs trillions of years to slowly rise up. You have to control the output. Nurturing the next generation is the most important, because these weak clansmen that are still growing are the future of our clan. This world ring represents the future. Clansmen, this world ring stores treasures for the undyings. Even though the amount is far from the last one, the total amount of wealth is much higher. Surviving the calamity, our clan has difficulty surviving. We need the surviving undyings to open up a living space for us. They need enough treasures to be able to roam the universe. Clansmen, this last world ring stores a set of true engraved weapons. The engraved weapons are our clan's highest achievement. Over countless years, our clan's knights have worked hard to create them, yet they've only created less than 100 of them. And after this calamity, these engraved weapons and our knights' treasures have all been split among the 100 inheritance pagodas. Some inheritance pagodas contained secret rune weapons, while others contained treasures used by venerables. Although engraved weapons were not very useful to venerables, their value in the universe was not lower than venerables' treasures because they were very powerful. As for how to use the engraved weapon and what its abilities were, the engraved weapon had a detailed explanation. Although there's only one of this secret pattern weapon, Its price far exceeds the sum of the previous 2 world rings. Luo Feng looked at the 3 pieces of metal, stunned. 3 world rings. One was for the undying level and below sector lords, domain lords, universe levels and other weaker clansmen. One was an immortal rank treasure. One was a clan protection treasure, a secret pattern weapon. That's way too awesome. Engraved weapons are the highest achievement of the civilization of the indigenous people of this continent. Countless years of painstaking production, but there were less than 100 of them? And its price far exceeds the wealth of the previous 2 world rings? Luo Feng immediately took the 3rd world ring, with a thought. He retrieved the only weapon within. Wah! This weapon was small and exquisite, somewhat similar to an arm guard. The main color of the material was black, vaguely giving off a feeling of hazy stars. How to use the engraved weapon, with a detailed explanation. Luo Feng looked at it curiously. He couldn't understand it at all. Immediately, a thread of world energy seeped into the engraved weapon and began to investigate. The moment it seeped in, the spirit imprint within the world energy automatically entered the arm guard. The engraved weapon arm guard immediately recognized him. How convenient! As Luo Feng easily made the engraved weapon recognize him, a piece of information immediately entered his consciousness. This information was a detailed description of the engraved weapon. It's called the Space Lock Arm, one of the less than 100 engraved weapons in the universe, in the form of an arm guard. My clan's strongest and most mysterious is the sacrificial engraved. This is a special path that my ancestor discovered and comprehended in a universe secret region. It's also the path that suits my clan the most. Just like the altar you all are sitting on, it's one of the most basic uses of the sacrificial engrave. Within the altar are countless sacrificial engravings, finally forming the ability to repel probing, space, sealing, etc. However, these are real engravings, they require a vessel and have a huge limitation. There's no way to use them effectively in battle. Hence, my ancestor finally created the even stronger space engravings. Every engraved weapon contains a complex structure of space engravings. The moment it's provided with an energy source, it can cause the space engravings to scatter in space. The area it scatters within is a controlled area. The best energy source is an undying God crystal. One must never use one's own undying God energy. Because the power of the engraved weapon is huge, the energy consumption is shocking too, and this consumption is completely depleted. If one uses one's own undying God energy, it's equivalent to burning one's undying body. It's not worth it. There are many undying God crystals in the universe. The stronger the energy it contains, the longer it can be used. The Space Lock Arm's function is to scatter the space engravings within an area, locking down the space ripples within. Unable to teleport. Hence, this Space Lock Arm is the nightmare of space law warriors. Of course, it will affect the user too. The user himself cannot teleport. Hence, the Space Lock Arm is most suitable for time law warriors to use. To strong time law warriors, being able to use time pause, however the opponent cannot teleport, naturally the advantage is huge. The Space Lock Arm, due to the space engravings within. Hence, as long as one carries the Space Lock Arm, with the user as the center, the space within a certain area will be locked down. This is much more effective than the altar, etc. The altar space is limited, and it's very hard to move with the user, and battles can easily destroy the structure of the altar and the engravings on it. And the space engravings are unbreakable. The Space Lock Arm's range can be split into 3 levels. 1. 10,000 kilometers in radius. 2. 100,000 kilometers in radius. 3. 1 million kilometers in radius. The larger the range, the more energy it consumes. As the Space Lock Arm consumes a shocking amount of energy, it's only used against true enemies, in life and death battles. Don't use it carelessly. I hope the later generations of warriors within the clan, can use this engraved weapon to protect our clan, allowing our clan to rise. Damn! 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 Luo Feng felt his head buzzing and heating up. He was so excited he almost lost his mind, spitting out 3 words in a row. I've really made a comeback, a huge comeback, really a huge comeback. Luo Feng felt the information in his mind. He was extremely excited within. This fight for the altar's treasure was too worth it. Back when he first entered the altar and realized the uniqueness of the engravings within, Luo Feng was already very envious. Battling within the altar, he had the advantage. However, once the scale of the battle gets bigger, the altar will be destroyed, and the altar space is limited. Luo Feng can only dream about it. Engraved weapon? Altar engravings? Is it the ancestor of the natives of the Sacrifice Flame continent, a path of the strong that he stumbled upon in a universe-secret region? Luo Feng complimented. It's really powerful. There are real engravings and even void engravings. The altar treasures 3 world rings, especially the last one, really made Luo Feng very happy. Let's give it a try. Luo Feng, who couldn't resist, extended his left arm. Hua! The space-locking arm directly stuck to Luo Feng's left arm, and a part of it melted into his skin. At the same time, the hazy black surface of the star suddenly cracked open, revealing an energy groove within the space-locking arm. It needs an extremely high-energy undying god crystal? Luo Feng let out a smile. I still have 2 fire god origin crystals, each worth 200 million points. If one explodes, it's comparable to a low-level Emperor self-detonation. Fire god origin crystal, thunder god origin crystal, etc. These were originally extremely high-energy crystals of the undying god. They could be used as an energy source. They could also be directly detonated. Actually, when the automaton race designed them, they originally planned to provide some large equipment with an extremely pure and powerful energy source. Who would have thought that after the battles in the universe, many strong warriors would discover its use, making the fire god origin crystal more of an explosive weapon. Luo Feng flipped his hand and placed a fire god origin crystal into the groove. It only took up a third of the groove. Chi-chi, the inside of the groove instantly tightened, the energy flowing smoothly. The surface closed up again. The entire arm guard was tightly sealed. Ha! Luo Feng's thoughts moved. The silver armor automatically covered the arm guard, protecting it well. Actually, this space-locking arms material was extremely expensive, much stronger and sturdier than the chain treasure chest. Even a knight would find it hard to damage it. Space lock. The space-locking arm had long recognized its owner. Luo Feng naturally could easily control it. The smallest area, a 10,000 kilometers radius, space lock. Luo Feng easily activated it. The engraved weapon space-locking arm had the 200 million point fire god origin crystal as its energy source. The energy was simply too abundant, and it was instantly activated. With the space-locking arm as the core, a formless strange energy instantly spread out in all directions. This was another type of undulation that was very similar to the ripples of space in the universe. Within a 10,000 kilometers radius of space, the sky, the mountain range, the prairie, the underground soil, all of them had the void's sacrificial secret runes. These sacrificial secret runes were all void secret runes that were faintly discernible. Even if one punched it, they would only hit empty air. Because they were void secret runes, they couldn't be destroyed. To destroy them, one would have to destroy the space-locking arm. Luo Feng revealed a look of glee, surveying his surroundings, looking up at the sky and the land. Really? With the Masha clansman's precise senses of the universe space, he could clearly feel that the 10,000 kilometers radius of the universe space was completely locked. There was no space ripples, there was no way to teleport. P.S. The first chapter has arrived, the 2 were released together today. Chapter 868. Today's second chapter. Space lock, it really locked space. Good, good, good. Luo Feng's eyes burned with passion. Space lock. This is a perfect space lock. Luo Feng was very excited. He was very clear on the value of this engraved weapon. The space laws could be split into 3 big categories: teleportation, strangulation, and lock. Every category could be split into many smaller categories. As long as one comprehended one of these categories, one would be able to gain the recognition of the space laws. However, to train any one of these 3 categories to the extreme was extremely difficult. To be able to teleport, strangulation, and lock, any one of them to perfect perfection, normally one was at the pinnacle of the emperor level. A few higher-level emperors could use it too. As this was a test of one's law comprehension, some higher-level emperors might be weaker in other areas, but their law comprehension was high, hence they could use it too. With the space lock, along with my killing of Wu Yue, I, Luo Feng, truly have the qualifications to stand above the trillions of races and undyings. Luo Feng was extremely happy within. Luo Feng was simply too excited. He couldn't help but let his imagination run wild. Ah, right, deactivate the space lock arm. This consumes energy at all times. Wu, wait a moment. I'll round it up to 10 seconds and deactivate it. Luo Feng immediately deactivated the space lock arm. The engravings within a 10,000 kilometers radius all vanished. I wonder how much energy was used. Luo Feng checked. The energy slot of the space lock arm showed 98.9% energy remaining. My God. Luo Feng's eyes stared wide. 98.9% left? This, I only used 10 seconds, and that's the smallest area. This is a fire god crystal worth 200 million points. How can the energy be used up so quickly? In a short 10 seconds, he had used up 1% of the fire god crystal. One crystal was worth 200 million points. That meant he had used up 2 million points in those 10 seconds. That meant he would use up 2 million points in 60 seconds. 2 million points used up in 1 minute? 1 minute used up the entire wealth of an official undying. Luo Feng took a deep breath. He finally understood what it meant by the universe was fair. Such a heaven-defying engraved weapon, it didn't require any training or comprehension. Just the energy alone was enough to lock the space. If the energy used was any less, it would be unbelievable. 1 minute 2 million points. No wonder the ancestors of the native tribes of the Sacrifice Flame continent said that the space-locking arm consumed a shocking amount of energy and should only be used against real enemies and in a battle of life and death. Do not use it under normal circumstances. That's right. I can't use it carelessly unless it's a truly important moment. Luo Feng shook his head. This is a gold-swallowing cave. Luo Feng was extremely excited after acquiring the engraved weapon. However, the ridiculous amount of energy used up was like a bucket of cold water, causing Luo Feng to wake up. I won't release the eagle until I see the rabbit. Unless it's a crucial moment, I definitely won't use the engraved weapon. Otherwise, I'm afraid I won't be able to recover. Luo Feng muttered within. Even so, he was still happy within. This space-locking arm was known to far surpass the wealth of the previous 2 world rings combined. It was indeed worth it. This was simply a killing weapon that undying-level warriors, especially Time Law warriors, could only dream of. I have to do some research. There are so many treasures in the other 2 world rings. How much are they worth? The 2 world rings, along with the treasures left behind by Pale Gold Emperor and the others that Luo Feng acquired, Luo Feng had to have an overall estimate. However, as there were too many items and too many types, Luo Feng and Babata had to work hard in the study of the Primal Region Villa in Yuxiang Mountain, researching and researching. Different items, different ways of selling them, all had different prices. Hence it wasn't as simple as checking the price of each item and calculating the total price. Also, some of the weapons like Pale Gold Emperor and the others were specially made by them. There was no way to find an accurate price on the network. Through the Virtual Universe Network, through his friends in Hong Meng City, through the shops in Hong Meng City, with Luo Feng's status as the direct disciple of the Primal Chaos City leader, through various channels. After spending a total of 7 days, he finally confirmed the approximate prices of all the items. The first world ring, even though the most expensive items are for sector lords to use, there are mountains after mountains, lakes after lakes, countless items piled up to form a continent. All in total, it's worth about 221 billion mixed element. The second world ring is for undyings to use. There aren't many of them, but in total, it's worth about 285 billion mixed element. The third world ring only has one engraved weapon. Engraved weapons are extremely rare, and the number of them in the human race can be counted on one's fingers. Without an accurate price, this engraved weapon can no longer be bought with cash. It can only be exchanged for other items, using other treasures to exchange for it. Its value is indeed far beyond the sum of the previous 2 world rings. Pale Gold Emperor and the others have a portion of treasures, worth about 53 billion mixed elements. Adding it all up, a set of precious engraved weapons and 560 billion mixed elements. Within the study of Yuxiang Mountain Primal Region, Luo Feng and the fist-sized Babata, who were looking at the screen, stared dumbfoundedly at the final price, after which they exchanged glances. Luo Feng, you've really struck it rich. Babata blinked. Ha ha. Luo Feng smiled. Right. His gains from the altar this time made Luo Feng feel like his life had changed. Ever since he became the direct disciple of the Primal Chaos City leader, he had interacted with the other seniors, like the Golden Axe Knight who he interacted with the most, and the others like Gui Yi Knight and Evil Spear Knight. This allowed Luo Feng to broaden his horizons. He had done some research and knew how shocking the wealth of the Absolute Warriors were. Normal Undyings had around 10,000 mixed element. Official level Undyings had around 10 million mixed element. Emperor level Undyings had around 10 billion mixed element. This was the average of the upper and pinnacle emperors. Like the extreme emperors, they would normally have tens of billions or even 100 billion mixed element. Like True Yen, an emperor invincible, even comparable to a normal universe knight, his wealth would normally be in the hundreds of billions or more. Of course, this was just a rough description. In truth, the strong warriors had all converted their wealth into ships, plant life forms, weapons and treasures, etc. Those with actual cash were extremely few. Like True Yen, who could easily exchange for the beast god's 7 kills for Luo Feng, to be able to casually produce so much cash was already shocking. Like how Luo Feng didn't have much cash before he acquired the treasures in the altar. And as one's strength grew, especially to the Universe Knights, the treasures they needed were rare and hard to come by. Many of them couldn't be bought with cash. They could only exchange for other items. Just like Luo Feng's engraved weapon, there was no place to buy it. The strong warrior's wealth was basically all fixed asset. Luo Feng's fixed assets were huge. Wu Killer Wings, Beast God Weapon, Engraved Weapon, Inheritance Crystals, these were all fixed asset. And these treasures couldn't be sold, because they could be exchanged for money. However, money might not be able to exchange for enough treasures. Like if Luo Feng needed a treasure one day. However, that treasure, he couldn't buy it. Luo Feng could announce publicly, I'll use the engraved weapon space lock arm to exchange for some treasure. This would make it much easier to succeed. Many universe absolute warriors who wanted the space lock arm for their disciples or heirs would be willing to exchange for treasures with Luo Feng. The most valuable treasures, I'll keep them. Those that are useless to me, but are commonly seen in the universe, it's better to sell them as soon as possible. Luo Feng thought. What suited him was the best. On the other hand, the treasures of other conferred kings might not be suitable for him. In the following time, Luo Feng began to quietly deal with these goods on a large scale. Like the huge amount of items in the First World Ring, Great Alliance City was doing business with the Emperor-level warriors. These normal items couldn't be sold at all. Such a huge amount. Those stores couldn't be bought, they could only sell to the Virtual Universe Company. Luckily, the Virtual Universe Company's purchasing department gave face to Luo Feng as the Primal Chaos City leader's disciple. They didn't dare lower the price. Sell those useless and common items, I'll exchange them all for money. Luo Feng was busy, but he was happy within. Just as Luo Feng was using his various channels to sell these treasures, suddenly one day, he received a mail from a good friend in Great Alliance City. The content was simple. Yang, I heard you acquired the altar treasure on Yanji continent? What? Luo Feng was shocked when he saw the mail. The human Yang was a fake identity. After all, news of Luo Feng being the Primal Chaos City leader's disciple had spread long ago. The other races in the universe were all searching for Luo Feng. Luo Feng naturally didn't dare reveal his identity. Yang, this identity had always been low-key, and was considered a normal Emperor-level warrior. However, the moment he was linked to the altar treasure, many would covet it, and think that the human Yang wasn't worth mentioning and was easy to deal with. That would be troublesome. If a warrior like Songjin Emperor acquired the altar treasure, the other Emperor-level warriors wouldn't dare mess with him. But Yang? Who was he? True treasures, only those with power could possess them. It would be weird if there wasn't a fight. Emperor Mo Na, where are you? Luo Feng immediately contacted Emperor Mo Na. After a while, within a restaurant in Great Alliance City, Luo Feng and a fox-tailed, handsome warrior Emperor Mo Na were quietly conversing in a private room. Emperor Mo Na, where did you hear that I acquired the altar treasure? Luo Feng said anxiously. Just which bastard spread it, isn't he trying to harm me? When I first found out about this, I was shocked too. If this information was fake, then the person who spread it must be really vicious. King Mona shook his head and laughed, but the information was too accurate, and it even stated the exact coordinates of the universe. The coordinates are XXXXX, and there is indeed a sacrificial tower there. According to the information, Yang, you obtained the treasure from that sacrificial tower. Many strong cultivators have already gone to the location of the altar to investigate. Now, the news has spread like wildfire across the entire continent. Even some titled kings from the Star Tower and other places know about it. Luo Feng's expression immediately turned ugly. Coordinates? Purple Zhong Emperor. Luo Feng raged within. 2 chapters finished. First day of September, the fight for the monthly votes was intense. Tomato begging for monthly votes. Chapter 869. When he received the mail from Mo Na Emperor, Luo Feng already suspected that it had something to do with Purple Zhong Emperor. Now that he heard that the altar's coordinates were made public, he was even more certain that it was Purple Zhong Emperor. Plus Purple Zhong Emperor's crazy and vengeful personality. Purple Zhong Emperor, I haven't even gone to find you and you've already begun to provoke me. Luo Feng hated within. Looks like you're trying to kill me. You have guts. You really have guts, aren't you afraid I'll announce that you have the purple clock? Actually back when Purple Zhong Emperor left the altar and returned to his nest, he understood one point. If the human Yang didn't have any way to deal with him, since he couldn't get the purple clock, he definitely wouldn't give up. There was a high possibility that he would spread the news of Purple Zhong Emperor having the purple clock. Since the human Yang was fanning the flames behind his back, forcing him out and killing him was the most important thing to do. If the human Yang wanted to kill Purple Zhong Emperor and obtain the ancient clock, naturally he wouldn't announce that he had it. However, this way, it would mean that Yang was a bigger threat to him. Anyone who dared to have the ambition to steal his treasures would have to be eliminated earlier. Of the 2 possibilities, Purple Zhong Emperor had to make the first move. Vicious. You are vicious. I originally wanted to wait until I was stronger before dealing with you. Since you've challenged me now, then let's fight. Luo Feng's killing intent permeated. Kind people get bullied, kind horses get ridden. They all think I'm easy to bully due to my low profile. Then I'll have to find a chance to ruthlessly reveal my methods and kill the ambitious ones. Using battle after battle to deal with the greedy ones was a stupid thing to do. The best method was to rely on a truly bloody and crazy battle record to prove his strength and shock the other warriors. This made the warriors realize that Yang's strength was very strong and dangerous. Naturally, no one dared to mess with Luo Feng. There were no grudges and Luo Feng's strength was very strong. They wouldn't deal with him just because he had treasures. After all, in the universe there were a bunch of emperors with huge amounts of wealth and treasures. As long as one's strength matched, no one dared to provoke him. Mona Emperor looked at Luo Feng and said softly, "Yang, are you alright?" "Nothing, I was just thinking, who's spreading rumors to cause trouble for me?" Luo Feng laughed coldly, "Looks like it's one of my enemies. If there's anything, feel free to summon us. We human experts are not to be trifled with." King Mona also said, "You should invite some human experts and other allies of the human faction. At most, we'll just go to war. What's there to be afraid of?" Luo Feng slightly nodded. "King Mo Na, thank you for telling me this news. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know when the enemy came knocking." Luo Feng said, "Ah, it's not your fault. This news was the most widely spread among the non-humans before reaching our human camp. As soon as I found out, I immediately came to find you," King Mona said. Luo Feng nodded. "This is troublesome, I'll go back first and think of a way to deal with it." "Go." King Mona reminded, "Be careful. There are many foreign races in the Outer Realm battlefield. When dealing with those greedy foreign races, you have to be ruthless from the start. Once they feel pain and fear, they won't dare to act recklessly. If you don't feel any pain, I'm afraid more and more outsiders will come in." "I understand." Luo Feng nodded. "Looks like it's time to start a massacre. Sacrifice Yen continent." That news is true. Some king-ranked experts have already joined forces to forcefully break open the sacrificial tower. They have entered and searched the sacrificial tower. Two members of the mechanical race sat opposite each other. The slightly taller member of the mechanical race said solemnly, "They found a complete treasure room made of grade G metal and a broken grade G treasure room in the altar. The treasures were all taken away." "A treasure room made of G-grade metal?" The shorter automaton was shocked. "Looks like there really are treasures there. Right now, on the Sacrifice Yen continent, many foreign races are searching for information on that human Yang. Using many methods, however, they haven't found him yet." The tall automaton said hoarsely, "The moment they find that human, it'll be time for a massacre. At that time, I'm afraid many other races will join in." "Pasiat." The shorter automaton grinned. "Are you going?" "Haha, this human's power is weak. He's probably just an emperor punk. How would he have the right to own such treasures?" "Of course I'll go." The tall automaton said. "You and I will work together. We'll split the treasures." "Okay," the two automatons formed an alliance. On the Yazi continent, the Regis were very relaxed. Usually, when Regis fought against each other, they would rarely fight to the death. But the sacrificial pagoda treasure incident caused the Yazi continent to become very lively. Even some Regis from the Star Pagoda, which was even more dangerous, rushed to the Yazi continent. The Sacrifice Yen continent was in a state of panic. Even the marquises of the foreign races began to secretly search for traces of that human, Yang. But the strange thing was, they couldn't find him. Cowardly human. Despicable human. He must have been scared away. He must have left the foreign battleground. Many experts on the Sacrifice Yen continent were secretly cursing. On the Sacrifice Yen continent, the most worried and angry person was King Purple Zhong. In the gloomy ice mountains, King Purple Zhong sat cross-legged on an icy rock. His eyes flashed coldly. he murmured. The entire sacrifice yen continent has been turned upside down. That human Yang disappeared? Can't find him? Humph, even after being forced into such a state, he still didn't release the news that I have the ancient clock. Looks like this human Yang is very ambitious. He obviously guessed that I was the one who released the news to force him. Logically, he should have leaked the news. But he didn't say anything. Looks like he's looking for a chance to kill me and steal my treasure. With this thought, he must have some confidence. Human King Purple Zhong was actually very afraid of Luo Feng. Because in the altar, Luo Feng's heart palpitating speed, the purple clock, even King Ashing died, but Luo Feng didn't die. Luo Feng's ability to hide without any signs of life. Only when he used his storage ring to collect the metal shard did Luo Feng reveal himself. All these showed Luo Feng's terrifying methods. How could King Purple Zhong dare to underestimate a warrior with so many methods? This time, I've also received close to 100 billion units of wealth. King Purple Zhong thought. I'll prepare well. This human is completely hidden now. He'll definitely go crazy when he does. Whether it was Luo Feng or King Purple Zhong, they were both clear that the moment they walked out of the altar, they were enemies. And when King Purple Zhong spread the news, the two of them were even more irreconcilable. Within Army Camp 026, Luo Feng was in a villa's swimming pool on a mountain peak. The mountain peak was covered in pure white snow, yet the pool was warm. In an instant, mist rose and Luo Feng laid there leisurely. Yes, while Yanji continent was madly searching for Luo Feng was within the army camp. Actually, back when Luo Feng was dealing with the large amounts of treasures, he was already swiftly rushing back to the army camp. Because he had to trade with the Virtual Universe Company, he naturally had to return to the army camp. Looking for me? How? I'm in the army camp. Who can do anything to me? Luo Feng laid naked in the pool, very relaxed. Suddenly 3 silhouettes flew over from the distance. The Virtual Universe Company's people are here. Luo Feng's body was covered in a silver armor. Wings grew on his back, and he immediately flew out of the water and stood on the snow ground of the mountain peak. How do you do? I'm from the Virtual Universe Company. The leader was a gold-robed, 3-eyed man. He seemed very elegant and humble. He had received orders from the head of the department. Even the head didn't tell him the identity of the client, only forbidding him from asking. This made the Emperor level 3-eyed man curse. The head was also a Universe Knight, a true upper echelon of the company. Even he was forbidden from asking. It seemed like this matter involved the highest echelon of the Virtual Universe Company. I know. Luo Feng nodded and casually threw over a world ring. After the 3-eyed man received it, his undying energy permeated it and began to check. Simultaneously, he made the unowned world ring recognize him as its owner. Simultaneously, he threw a scanning device in. The manual scanning and machine scanning were carried out simultaneously. Simultaneously, he said, as there are too many suspicious items, the quantity is too large, my scanning time may be slightly longer. No rush. Luo Feng stood there. About 3 minutes later, the scanning device had finished long ago. The Emperor level 3-eyed had also finished scanning. The goods are complete. The 3-eyed man smiled and looked at Luo Feng. The money has been transferred, I won't disturb you any further. The gold-eyed man was very clear on how shocking the amount of money involved in this transaction was. This was a transaction of over 200 billion mixed element. To be able to do such a huge transaction, one could tell that this silver-armored and silver-winged warrior had an extraordinary background. The Virtual Universe Company's transactions were the fastest. The other channels were much more troublesome. Some sold to shops, some to individuals, some to other races. Due to the huge amount of transactions involved, some of the other races had to personally rush over to Army Camp 026 to inspect the good. The entire process took close to a month before everything was processed. Luo Feng stretched. In the ice and snow land, lying in the mist-filled pool, he revealed a smile. Processing complete. The cache is about 560 billion mixed elements. What a huge sum of money. Maybe to the universe knights, it's just a small amount. However, amongst the Emperor-level undyings, it's already an incomparably huge amount. I have to think of how to handle this wealth. Should I use it on deities of the world and other aspects to increase my strength? Or should I use it on the 1,000 vine star-eating grass and other supporting plant life forms? Or should I buy some automaton weapons? After buying the automaton weapons, even if they're useless, I can sell them in the future. As for raising my own strength and nurturing plant life forms, etc., I won't be able to sell them for money. Luo Feng lay in the pool, thoughts flashing through his mind. 560 billion mixed elements wealth. Leaving it on the books was a stupid thing to do. Of course he had to convert it into strength and make himself stronger. P.S. Chapter 1 has arrived. Chapter 870. The final climax of the Knife River King was about to begin. The plot was intertwined and the foreshadowing was a bit complicated. Tomato needed to make some preparations tonight. Tomorrow, Saturday, was a rest day. However, yesterday's update was late, and today's update was shorter. So tomorrow, Saturday, would be the second update. The climax was about to begin. Are you ready? Welcome the climax. Asterisk. Chapter 871. Spending 560 billion mixed elements was easy, but how to use it effectively? Lying in the pool, Luo Feng's mind was filled with bewilderment, as there were simply too many treasures in the universe. Just the ones Luo Feng knew were countless, and there were many he didn't even know about. I have a few killing moves right now. Golden Horned Beast, Bug Army, Fire God Origin Crystal Explosion, Space Locking Arm. Luo Feng pondered. They're already strong, I should strengthen them. Bug Army. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed, fiercely standing up in the pool. If I can raise the Bug Clan Queen Alina to the Undying level, an Undying Bug Clan Queen, then with the Undying Bug Army, she would be invincible under the Universe Knights. If I succeed, spending all 560 billion would be worth it. The more he thought, the more excited he got. The Bug Clan Queen could control 10,000 bug soldiers at once, and all of them could unleash Origin Law attack. Or she could even control 1,000,000 bug soldiers precisely. Even though she couldn't unleash Origin Law attacks, she could still hit wherever she wanted. Back then, when the Bug Clan Queen controlled 10,000 Undyings, her power was already heaven-defying. If she could control 1,000,000 Undyings? Invincible! The more he thought, the more his eyes gleamed. He couldn't help but say, I'll go ask Alina. Internal World, Bug Clan Island. Shwa. Black-clothed Luo Feng left the world within the world ring and immediately returned to the sky above the Bug Clan Island within the internal world. Xiao. With her butterfly wings, the absolute beauty Alina flew high into the sky and bowed before Luo Feng. Master. Alina. Black-clothed Luo Feng said, let me ask you, for you to evolve to the Undying level, how high is the price? Master you. Alina looked shocked at Luo Feng. Just speak. Luo Feng said, giving off a rich and imposing vibe. Irina chuckled, her voice crisp and sweet. Looks like Master has an astonishing amount of wealth. However, Master, it's very difficult for the Zerg Queen to become an immortal. Just the various materials alone cost close to 100 billion mixed element unit. By Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Master, let me finish. Alina said, these are just the external requirements, there's still the internal requirements. My insect race's Queen Mother needs to have an extremely high comprehension of the laws, be it the laws of space or the laws of time. You won't be able to become immortal just by comprehending the laws of metal, wood, or any of the other laws. You'll need to have high attainments in the laws of space or time. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows. Master. The truly intelligent beings in the universe can only become immortal if they have an extremely high understanding of the laws of nature. Just relying on external materials was not enough. Just like humans, no matter what, they had to comprehend at least one of the laws of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lightning, and light to successfully become eternal. If one did not have any accomplishments in the laws, then no matter how many treasures one had, it would be useless. My bug race queen is the same. As one of the peak races, the bug race's true intelligent life form, the bug race queen has a very hard time becoming undying, extremely hard. The requirements for comprehension of the laws are extremely high, and the requirements for external material conditions are also extremely high. But the cloud-scraper vine you use is different. For example, these plants have very low intelligence. They are more like objects, and do not have any requirements for the laws of the universe. They can evolve by relying on external factors. Once they evolve, the universe will naturally allow them to comprehend the laws of the universe that are similar to their own attribute. However, this sort of thing, it can only happen to a portion of the plant life forms, bug race soldiers, these types of low intelligence life forms. The other truly intelligent life forms all need to have attainments in the origin laws. Alina said, "Right now I've only comprehended the fire laws. However, I'm still very far away from the space laws. No matter how many treasures I have, I won't be able to become undying." Luo Feng felt a sense of disappointment as he heard this, but he understood. Right, like the bug race soldiers that could be mass-produced, they were pure wild, and had very low intelligence. And the cloud contact vine and star-eating grass only had basic instincts and simple emotions such as love and hate. After becoming undying, the cloud contact vine could truly communicate with Luo Feng's consciousness for the first time, having a normal mental conversation. The other intelligent life forms, humans, automaton race, demon race, insectoid race, queen mother, golden horn race, natives of the sacrifice flame continent, thunder spring race, rugged bear race. Any race, to become undying, the hardest part is law comprehension. Luo Feng sighed within. He had thought wrongly from the start, thinking that the bug race relied on resources to evolve. Those bug race soldiers did indeed rely on resources. However, the bug race's most basic queen was a true higher life form. Their requirements for the origin laws were extremely high. Alina's comprehension of the fire laws was still far from enough. "My origin law comprehension isn't enough. Master, you don't have to prepare the resources and treasures for me." Alina smiled slyly. "However, when I feel that it's about time, I'll have to rely on you." No problem." Luo Feng agreed readily. However, he didn't feel good within. Leaving full of hope, returning with disappointment. Right, the undying bug race queen is invincible under the knights of the universe. How could it be so easy to break through? Luo Feng immediately sent a thread of his consciousness into the virtual universe. Virtual universe, Yuxiang Mountain Primal Region, Luo Feng's villa. Luo Feng sat before his desk and looked at the screen, searching for detailed information on the various treasures. Black hole weapon, able to cause the target to instantly become a small black hole. Only a universe knight's strength can survive? Soul-destroying aurora, harvested from a mysterious light storage in a universe secret region. The moment it releases a soul-destroying aurora, even a normal knight would be injured. Anything below that would die without a doubt? Silent wind weapon. A certain universe secret region has a silent wind belt. Silent wind is the wind formed from a special substance in the universe secret region. In the depths of the silent wind belt, even a universe knight's undying body would shatter into powder if they were hit by the wind. This silent wind weapon is made from the surrounding silent wind. Anyone below the universe knight level will die without a doubt. Kaso weapon, Kaso. It's a special metal named after its discoverer. This metal has an intense destructive effect on an undying body. A Kaso dagger made completely out of this metal, piercing into an emperor-level warrior's body would cause the warrior's body to instantly crumble and die. One weapon after another. These were all custom-made weapons, and many of them were made by humans themselves. Luo Feng searched with the goal of death for anything below a knight. In one breath, he actually found a total of 203 weapons, causing Luo Feng to be dazzled. Oh my god! Anything below a knight would die without a doubt. Why does it look like the Undyings are so weak, and some of the weapons' power can even harm a knight? Luo Feng stared dumbstruck. Of these weapons, 21 were made by the automaton race, 3 were made by humans, and the rest were all made from special materials from the universe. However, no wonder I've never seen anyone use them in the outer region battlefield. This toy, who can afford to use it? If anyone uses it, the moment news spreads, they'll probably be surrounded by countless emperors to steal it. Luo Feng thought as he looked at the prices. These custom-made weapons, the cheapest one was 6 trillion. Most of them were over 10 trillion. This price was enough to make even a knight's heart tremble. Whoever wielded such a weapon would simply be holding a huge treasure trove. How much was the altar treasure trove? A weapon worth over 10 trillion mixed elements. The moment it was revealed, it would naturally make countless Undyings go crazy and fight over it. I can only look. I can't afford it. Luo Feng suddenly felt like a poor man. He could only afford a fraction of these weapons. Just thinking about it, just like the black hole weapon and other technological weapons, they all looked complicated from the outside, and the requirements to create them were very high. And for things like the soul-exterminating aurora and silent wind weapons, one had to go to those dangerous areas to collect silent wind and other materials. Moreover, one had to store them well and use them frequently. In those dangerous areas, even universe supremacies could fall. It wasn't surprising that they were expensive. The Bug Clan Queen had no way to become an Undying, and he couldn't afford those weapons that could make anyone invincible below a knight. He could only settle for the next best thing. Hence, Luo Feng began to study again and again. Like many of the items in the treasure trove that he couldn't see, and many of the shops in Hong Meng City, with Luo Feng's 560 billion savings, he naturally had the right to enter some of the more important areas of the shop. These areas were often places where the knights went to buy treasures. In the treasure trove regarding the third level of deities of the world, I only found 3 materials. However, in the many shops in Hong Meng City, I actually found 18, almost all of them. However, it's really expensive. To completely train deities of the world to completion is too difficult. Through the internet access and studying the treasures of the many shops in Hong Meng City, after spending over a month, Luo Feng finally made his final decision. He had no choice but to be cautious. He was able to get 560 billion this time, but who knew how long he would have to wait for the next time? Spending about 110 billion mixed elements, he bought the resources that would allow the golden horned beast to train deities of the world to 16 times its amplitude. Spending 2 billion mixed elements would allow it to reach the completion of the second level of deities of the world. He spent about 130 billion mixed elements to purchase 4 fire god origin crystals, each nearly 30 billion mixed elements, as well as a large number of water god origin crystals that were specifically used to supply the space lock arm. Over 10 billion mixed elements were spent as the water god origin crystals were the most suitable energy source for the space lock arm. Spending a total of 300 billion mixed elements, he bought 1 kilogram of Fema poison. Spending 8 billion points, he allowed the Cloud Contact Vine to evolve from the pinnacle of the official level to the beginner Emperor level. There were also some other small expenses, however. The 560 billion he earned this time was almost all used up.